Hello everyone, and it's time to explain. And today we are going to talk about, is Brawl becoming pay to win? What's going on with the balance? How about some economy nerfs? And community drama, because I know you guys want to hear drama, so we'll talk about drama. But I'll follow like a quick script here just so I can, so everyone understands what they should do when they're watching the podcast. If you're watching from YouTube, you can jump through the chapters, so then you can see the questions we are talking about, and then they are all in the description. So if you want to hear the whole thing, just go to the question you want and then tap there. I also recommend watching in 1.5. Really, it's life-changing.
Productivity hack from Danny.
Yes. And also check the previous podcast because there's a lot of questions we already answered. And I saw like the questions that you guys are asking today or like when I post this thing are actually I already answered before. But yeah, this episode exclusively will have a lot of things on screen. You might not want to listen on Spotify. So we'll show a lot of data, graphs, very fun stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun. Absolutely.
But today we have familiar faces again. We have Jeff, game designer of the Brawl team. Do you want to say hi to them?
Hello.
Yeah, that's it. Then we have Adrian, also game designer of the Brawl team.
Hello.
And Frank.
Hello. I'm the untitled.
Yeah, you literally have no title.
I'm a janitor at Brawl Stars.
Yeah.
Team lead.
That's not even my title.
Say the wrong title.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Janitor.
The new title nobody understand. We have to explain the whole context.
No. Let's not go there.
So why we want to present those graphs today? It's because like the problem we believe that we have when we are talking about game or like what's happening behind the industry is because people or players complain about something that they are experiencing in the game, but they don't understand the reasoning, right? Or they don't understand the context this has been made. And I would believe that if any player would spend 1 week with us, they would change their minds. It's just because like they would consume so much knowledge of like decisions and discussions and everything. So what we want to put here out today is put some context. So everything we are talking about will have like some background. So it's not like coming out of just like our words or anything. Everything has like a ground data to back it up. And then we have like actually I can already start showing some graphs.
Oh. Missed opportunity. We should have all wore our suits or something.
There are questions related.
Data and suits.
Data and suits.
So look at this beautiful graph. I mean, look at some declining moments. So here's like our DAU, which means daily active users. And you can see like this is like from December to today, I think. No, actually.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday also.
Yesterday. Actually, we didn't get the Sunday and Saturday numbers maybe, because then it will be even higher.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like here's December, like we had the Brawl Days, we removed boxes. It was a big deal in the community. But then
there was also in the mission the Omega Box event.
The Omega Box event. Yeah, this is like early December 2022. But then you can see our daily active users are rapidly declining, right? And you can really easily spot the trend there until we release the Star Drops update. And you can see how clear they stop. At least the trend wasn't so harsh, right?
I'd actually underline again, like small intermission here, but normally what we see in summer is that there's a drop in the AU because people go on vacation, believe it or not. And so we expected, even after the star drops, that the numbers would go down probably faster than normally in an update cycle. And we were pretty surprised to see that this graph there became more flat. So was the first surprise, I think. So there's still a decline after the update.
Yeah.
But it's much slower, even though we expected a steeper decline.
Yeah. So I think a bit counterintuitive, right? Because I think for most games that have a bit older audience, summer usually means play more games. But for our audience, a lot of people end up playing in school with their friends during school, right? So summer actually means they're actually playing Brawl less because they're not with their friends.
Yeah, so even with
parents.
those, even with those conditions that should affect us negatively, it actually our numbers we managed to sustain the DAU quite well, and then we have the Hypercharge, which was a bit controversial update. I think the first Hypercharge, they weren't as exciting as we thought they would be. Also, we removed the game modes because, like, if you see like this trend going down and like your DAU is being affected by that, removing the game slots that you have would actually, in theory, would help matchmaking, right? Because like then it's more accurate, it will be faster. But then we see like nothing really changed, and we also see our retention declining. So, but it's still the numbers weren't as bad as like the Masteries and the Blink update. But then, like in the middle of the season, we had this shooting star drop event, which was basically just like take down enemies to get star drops. And then you can see there's a spike. That's the legendary star drop day. But then you can see that after the event ended, that like there's nothing else to do after the event. But then the players stayed there. So like what we're trying to show here is that the star drop update, it kind of like fixed something on retention. Like, so the players that are coming in to experience the game, they were staying. And I think, it's like the turning point. I think it's how we managed to grow the game again. And then you can see the trend from up there. Like we added Mega Peak, Chroma No More, the Chroma No More is event. The Brawly Days, I think that's the Miko Day. Or it's either Miko or it's the skin, but I think it's Miko.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And then from the Brawl Together and on, it's like just growing. And yesterday, we actually, was it like the highest number of players we had since global since forever?
On Saturday, yeah.
It's like we actually beat our record on a 5-year-old game, which is pretty impressive. It's like, and this is like in the course of 1 year. So like we hear like what people are saying out there on social media, but the changes we are doing are making something with the game, right? And to have like this ascension in 1 year for a game that is 5-year-old is pretty impressive. Like I think like I wouldn't change anything to be in the place we are now, right? I wouldn't maybe I would not remove the boxes completely, but or maybe add star drops to replace boxes on that update. But yeah, I think it was for these 4 months of learning, because we remove the box, we see the results, and then we quickly adapt. Star drops was not even part of the yearly plan, right? We added.
No, they were not. When we entered the year, we had Masteries and the Bling update. Those were planned. And we had plans for other updates afterwards. But when we saw that the trend was still going down, this graph just shows the actual daily active players, right?
Yeah.
But what you can see on this graph is the retention. Retention is measured in the games industry in like typically terms like D1 to D30, D60, D90, and the D stands for day, and that means what's the percentage of people who come in on day 0 are still sticking around with your game on day 1, day 30, day 60, day 360, whatever it is. And for us, day 1 doesn't mean much. That just means you're logging in the day after you came to the game. For us, what's more important is like the long-term retention, the tail, the D30. And that number did not improve in those updates.
Yeah.
In fact, that number from before the removal of the mega boxes
Actually, I have this graph here.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So DU doesn't change much, but D30 you can see the ascension there as well.
Yeah, that is.
You guys didn't even plan that.
No, but he didn't actually saw the graph, so actually
Yeah, it is.
it was a good segue.
Yeah.
Yeah, not scripted.
Yeah. But I still want to go back to this. So like there is like here's Google Trends. It's like public, so you can actually type Brawl Stars and see our results there. You can see like when we remove boxes, it was like a big deal in the industry, right? Because it was reaching outside the bubble, like a game that is removing boxes or gacha. It's a big deal. But then the trend kind of like follow pretty much the same as our DAU. And to make it clear, look at that. Frank will be surprised. You guys saw already. Look at this. Wow, I crossed the graphs.
Wow.
But then like my point is here is that the trend is pretty much similar, right? You can see like the decline, even like the star drop update, that there's like a small retention improvement there. Like it was, of course, it was more impactful in the game, but then you can see the ascension back. And of course, this is only YouTube, so like it's not like super accurate, but you can see that the trends kind of like follow. No?
The graph actually shows the web search, not YouTube.
Yeah, web search. Yeah, Google Trends is not YouTube.
I think, the previous months was really needed for us to kind of look at things and take the learnings. And I think one of the conclusions maybe, and I think the analogy that I like to use is like, imagine playing Diablo and the game tells you you're going to get your next legendary drop after killing 10,000 monsters.
Yeah.
Like that feels not that fun, right? And I think Star Drop just kind of adds that level of excitement to every game win or every few game wins every day. And that's kind of what brings up some of the core retention for the game.
Yeah, that's a good call out, because I was just explaining what it fixed, but why did it fix that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes like playing every day more rewarding, more exciting. There's something on the line when you're opening your game every day. Should we go like to the questions and then I open the graph when you
sure.
need it?
Yeah,
Sounds good.
Why don't we just look at the DAU graph one more time?
It's a pretty graph.
We are really proud of that achievement, by the way.
It's a pretty graph.
Yeah.
It's a very pretty graph, yeah.
Enough graphs for now. Now let's talk about drama, because I know players are so excited about drama, right? More excited than me.
That's my sizzle sound.
So recently we had removed the creator code from a creator because he had leaked no NDA information. NDA stands for non-disclosure agreement.
I think so.
Yeah, so it's confidential information, basically. But yeah, you can take it away.
Yeah, I think it's like, it's always a challenging situation when we have a situation like this specifically, because ultimately it's breaching the NDA in this case is like it's a breach of trust. That's what it really is. We have the Slack channel where a lot of the content creators are. The higher you are in the creator program, the closer you are to us. Means you are very much exposed to our work, what we write, etc. So you have a lot of context, and we give you that context in this safe space. So, and to keep it a safe space, there needs to be trust. If someone is sharing something from this space, not necessarily even from us, but even from another content creator out of context out there, that's a problem. And then the trust is broken, and we have to take some action. I think that's a summary of this, really.
Yeah, and just to add, like as you said, like sharing something out of context, to add context to this case. So we had already it was like a thing about Larry and Lawrie. So we had already the proposal, Nerf, public to them. Like it was already in the chat. And we had said already that we are working on it, and then we don't have a date for that. And then it was, when it was questioned, why it's not coming so quickly, I responded why it's not happening so quickly. Like, so that all this information was there. And even though if you leak something out of context, it can create a lot of unnecessary problem, basically.
Drama.
Yeah. Drama. Yeah. But yeah. So in summary, we are not firing Adrian.
It's a nice segue.
What?
Yeah. But yeah, I guess like the first question is about balance, but then we can just like touch on this thing that it becomes like a big deal on the Spanish community and then leaked for other countries as well. Like, don't be this person. Like, first, I just show like our DAU increase, which is like something super unique in the industry, and they wouldn't have achieved that without Adrian in the team, because like he's not doing like just balancing the character, like he's creating characters, creating gameplay, design, and everything. It's like those numbers that like I don't know which other game has achieved that in the industry in like in this time period. It's only possible because he's part of the team. So we're really happy to have you here, Adrian.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think it's also really worth pointing out that what you see out there is a few people like us. So the community managers, of course. Adrian is out there willingly, so I didn't force him. Jeff joined these podcasts, also totally not forced.
Forced me.
A bit forced, a bit forced.
A bit forced, maybe. But I guess what I want to say is like most of us choose to be on social media, and so we become the visible faces of the game naturally. And it's not like the people you see on social media are the ones who are executing and doing all the things you think we're doing, right? The Brawl Stars team now is 46 people big. We're still growing this year. We by the end of the year probably be 60, and that's only the people who are working on it directly, not to talk about all the partners we have on the outside. So like there's never only one person responsible for one thing. It's always a discussion. So Adrian is not by himself, sitting at his computer hacking away on the balancing. So it is a team thing. So if you want to hate, it's easy to hate on him because he's out there. So he's a lightning rod. But in practical reality, it's never like this. There's multiple people working on balancing. There's multiple people who are working on every single thing we do. So singling out someone and unloading your hate is just not okay. And I think it needs to be set out there. So it's a team thing. You can hate on the team. You can disagree on what we're doing, how we're doing it. That's fine. But don't become personal.
Yeah. And then we have a good segue for that, because the first question is about balancing from Ash. What I'm really interested in knowing is how did the dominance of Larry and Lawrie affected the game in terms of player metrics? We hear all the negative sides to it on social media, with many players expressing how they are unable to enjoy the game. But I would like to hear the other side, the positive side. For example, did the new brawler boost player activity?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
And I think, there's many answers to it, but I think the first and foremost, whenever there's an exciting brawler release, and if it's a little bit on the strong side, even too strong sometimes, it will create waves in the community.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we want to make them strong to make waves. There is a fine line to toe there. And I think it's easy to, it's fine to say at this point that Larry and Lawrie definitely teach too strong on release. I think we can all agree on that. Because I think you can achieve the excitement without, a ludicrous power level.
Yeah.
For sure. But the long story short, this is absolutely, there is waves created whenever we release an exciting brawler.
Yeah.
Can you maybe say a word or two on how we're balancing brawlers?
Absolutely.
There's a question for that. Maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We can come back to it.
Yeah.
We'll get back to it.
But then I think what we think it's an emergency, right?
Mm-hmm.
Emergency is like when you use a super gene super and the game crashes.
Sure.
This is an emergency.
That's an emergency.
Because you're preventing the player to play the game, right?
Yes.
And then I was actually like when Larry and Lawrie was the top, I was actually mastering my Mandy. I almost got there, like go to with pride. But I was never playing triple Larry and Lawrie. But every match has a Lawrie in my team and a Lawrie on the other team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still balanced, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like because usually your own Lawrie sucks.
Wait, are you blaming bad randoms then?
Yeah.
Is this what's happening? Okay.
No, I actually got a lot of progress playing with randoms during the Larry and Lawrie phase. So like what I'm saying, like I was at 800 trophies. Below me, nobody was actually seeing the problems that we see in social media, which is like triple Larry and Lawrie, because this is like if you are above, 900 or 1,000. So that's when we think like it's not affecting most of our players.
Mm-hmm.
It's only affecting the highly engaged players. and they can survive for another week with this. And then also, like, I don't think we have a question for that, but usually in maintenance, we try to group a lot of bugs because we don't want to have a lot of maintenance, right?
Yeah.
Maintenance is like shutting down the game for everyone, which means that it's a big door for the competitors, right? This game's not working, let's play the other one. And then maybe this player is never coming back. So like we wanted to minimize maintenance as much as we can. And then every bug we have is like, when, for example, I think we discussed like, should you have a maintenance for Laurie and Larry, but there is nothing else to fix. And like, can we like group all the bugs we can in this time frame so that at least we make like more use of this maintenance? And that's why waiting, it was not even 2 weeks. It was 1.5.
Something.
Yeah. It's fine. Everyone can survive.
I think there were also a few compounding issues, right?
Yeah.
So Larry and Lawrie were strong, too strong, and we agree. Now that we have the data, it's easy to say that in hindsight.
Yes.
But at the same time also, I mean, you saw the DAU graph there.
Yeah.
So what we are seeing at the moment is essentially unprecedented concurrent users in Brawl Stars. So we are like, in the past we had maybe, when we released Edgar, I think we had a higher number of concurrent users for one day. But now for a consistent period of weeks, we are coming to the office and there's more than, in the morning hours, Europe, and there's more than 1 million people online right now. That's the low moments of our game at the moment. And so it's like we have to get used as a team to these numbers as well to a degree, which sounds crazy, but it's the case because we haven't experienced that in a while. And so to make sure that the servers operate properly for you out there, we can tweak matchmaking criteria. We can tweak how accurate the matchmaking is. And one of the vectors there, one of the directions you can tweak the matchmaking is when you allow duplicate brawlers.
Yeah.
So because so many people had Larry and Lawrie, because it's an epic brawler, right? So a lot of people got access to him very early on, either in early access or of course right afterwards, before the new Brawl Pass season launched. And there were just so many people playing Larry and Lawrie that matchmaking was really slow. And then we reduced the amount of time it needs until we allow more brawlers to be duplicates. And so that fixed the matchmaking issues. So matchmaking was fast again, people could actually play. But on the other side, of course, when you already have a strong brawler and all of a sudden you have 3 of them in the enemy team, that doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
It still was a problem isolated to maybe the higher ranks of our players, not to everyone.
Yeah.
So, but it's a super difficult balance to strike for us. And if we have to decide whether people can actually play the game or not, we will probably do it again. And we would do it again.
But not intentionally.
Not intentionally.
Good to point out.
Yeah, maybe to kind of expand on it a little bit. Like if you think about when we have a really strong OP brawler, like it's actually pretty exciting, right? Like you tell your friends like, oh my God, there's a new brawler and he's like broken. Like everybody kind of rushes to the game to get him, to
get more views, the content.
Right, yeah, and you can see it, like to answer the question directly, yeah, the metrics did go up, right?
Yeah.
But imagine playing like, Age of Empires is probably too old. Maybe like StarCraft.
Also pretty old.
Okay, StarCraft 2. Okay. Like, imagine playing that and like you type in cheats, right?
Yeah.
That's like really fun,
Yeah.
but for like an hour, right?
Yeah,
And it's like,
exactly.
it's like it's not fun anymore, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we like want Brawl Stars to grow for many, many years. So like we're not trying to purposefully do this.
Yeah.
Like, hey, it happens once in a while. And hey, look, numbers look good this time, but like we obviously don't want to do it every single because we know it's going to happen.
Yeah, long term
it's not good long term, right? So
When you say once in a while, it just I guess it felt like I mean I think it's fair to say that Charlie was too strong.
Yes.
For sure.
So we went from Charlie to Miko
to Kit.
Yeah, but Miko is okay.
Miko is fine.
Miko is okay because people haven't figured out how to play him yet.
Yeah. He also had the power scaling
Yeah,
issue in
yeah.
Showdown.
So yeah.
Oh,
anyway,
yeah.
so
But some of the stuff are bugs.
but there's a mix of circumstances.
Yeah.
But we're gonna talk more about
Yeah.
we
how
will
we
talk
balance
more about it.
in a different question.
Soba, back to the roadmap. You are also working on social tools. Will you put something like Brawl Stars China, like a playroom? I guess social lobby is how we call it. Yeah.
It's how do they call it? It's
Social lobby.
no, they're not calling it. It's the
The dev name, I
the
think.
Valley of Stars. No,
Like I know I'm Chinese, guys, but I don't know.
Jeff?
you're the only person here can make that joke.
Yes.
Do you want to answer? Should I answer?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I could take a stab at it, and
Okay, go
yeah.
ahead. Do it.
So yeah, I think we looked at it. We thought about it a lot on the team because it sounds really cool. Like,
Yeah.
hey, what if there's a lot of pros with it, and I think there's two things. Like one thing is like to do it right. Like it just takes a ton of time and resources to do it right, and that competes with everything else we want to do every 2 months, right? And then two is like I don't actually know we had like a really confident design going in, right? So it's like, hey, when given like we don't have a confident design and plus it's like a pretty high risk, like huge cost thing, like, hey, let's kind of put it on the back burner for now. And that was my
Yeah.
general.
Just imagine like we are half of the dev team is working on this for half a year. So whatever else we could do in that 6-month period that is potentially cooler will take precedent.
Yeah.
We're really glad with our partners over there in China because they tried it out, obviously, and we were also able to see some data. And on the first day, the data looked amazing. A lot of people engaged with this. A lot of people wanted to go in the lobby, take screenshots. But that lasted 2-3 days, and then the numbers came down. And I think for us, that was also like, hey, we cannot just have a room where you can take pictures and have a chat, because like that's just not good enough and not cool enough either. And then to make it really cool, well, the effort is just going up exponentially.
Yeah.
And yeah, as Jeff said, it's like, are we confident in our design? Are we confident that this is a really cool thing we want to invest half a year into? And the answer for us is no. It's not. So it's not in the, we actually considered this for the next summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. we thought about fishing.
The idea is not dead. Fishing is not dead, guys.
Fishing is not dead.
Comment below this video if you like fishing. Hashtag fishing.
Hashtag fish. No time to fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the idea is like the ideas don't go away and they bloom,
No.
right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely there in the back of our minds.
Yeah.
And as a concept to improve social, like give a social tool for players to express themselves, I think that's still what we want to do.
Yeah,
at some
absolutely.
point, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I guess when we are now talking about social, it's more about, are we doing a good enough job with like our existing social features, like inviting a friend, inviting someone who's not your friend yet. How do you become a friend?
Mm-hmm.
And then how is it to play with each other and stuff like that? So I think the lobby is just one angle.
Yeah.
And there's many angles.
Yeah, totally. Like Brawl's actually like a super social game, not in like the traditional, like World of Warcraft sense, but you a lot of times when you're playing Brawl in person with someone, that's like the most fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All together.
Yeah.
And
Hashtag.
Yeah, totally. And like there's so many different small things we can do to just improve that, like connecting players in the game.
For sure. Question from Spen. I would love to hear your thoughts on early access. The community is getting worried that it's too pay to win, especially if the brawler is nerfed in due time. Akit and Lawrie. What are the pros and cons of nerfing a brawler during early access?
Should I take this one? Do you want to take this one? I don't know. Anyway,
You can talk on the balance.
Yeah.
I can talk on the balancing side, yeah. So a big thing when we have early access brawlers and we get, for example, because when we do balancing, we look at data a lot. And when we have early access, usually what happens is the more engaged players will buy the offer. So the better players will play the brawler, and the win rates, for example, are skewed much higher than on normal release. So basically the first week of data is usually extremely unreliable. when it comes to balancing specifically. And that's of course tricky, because yes, we might think that, okay, that might actually be OP, but we can't say for sure because we can't trust the specific set of data. So that's a big problem with the early access when it comes to balancing. And then so that's, you know, a con of early access nerfing. And of course, you know, it feels as well like, okay, if we don't know what to do, let's say within that week based on data, should we take a stab in the dark? Probably not, because then we could go the other way very easily, right? Like we've made that mistake sometimes where, you know, brawler's really OP and then we over nerf them, for example. And then let's say we do that in the pre-release week. Every podcast. Every podcast. And then if we do that in the pre-release week, when the brawler is then actually released, then it's already basically dead on arrival. There's no more excitement. It's like, oh, well, this brawler is not that exciting. I feel really weak playing this brawler. So it's really risky to do. But yeah, I could go on and on about this one, but yeah, maybe some other thoughts on it.
You want to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I think the tricky thing is like we do want new brawlers to be like fun and good, right? Like,
sure,
they are like on the, I guess, you know, the top tiers of the power curve, and I think that's the hard part, right? Like, how do we get them to feel strong but not broken?
Yeah,
and also a lot of times, like, you know, in any competitive game, when you rebalance something, like you have to give time for the meta to settle, right? Obviously, you know, LNL was pretty, you know, way too strong, but like a lot of times somebody might find a counter to it, you know, a month in, and then all of a sudden they rotate out of the meta. Like that happens really often.
Yeah. I think Chuck because Chuck nerf wasn't like a big deal, right? I think it was only the super that we nerfed.
Yeah, so that you basically don't spawn with super. Yeah.
And basically now, like, he's still good in Heist and Hot Zone. But he's not like, if someone picked Chuck, you're like, oh my god, what I'm gonna do now? Like, you can
it's like
still...
you don't lose the game by default. It's like, okay, can adapt.
Yeah,
he's a niche pick, but he also can be countered, right?
Yeah. And I think Maisie, which I think on release she was good. Like maybe the attack was like a bit too slow, and then there is like the gadget that was dodging backwards. She was good, but nobody cared. Because she was just good. She was not even like weak, right? She was just good.
Oh, she was good.
Yeah.
She was above average by far.
And I think we changed those things. We made the attack a bit faster and then changed the gadget. And then she was good for a while, but nobody was caring about. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, she's like, "Oh my god, she's so strong. She's OP," and we didn't do anything.
So
but that's how it works. You know, meta changes. Yeah.
And as I was like going through the questions, I saw a funny topic, because like we already answered that we try to release brawlers on the strong side rather than weak, because if we release on weak, it's like very hard to recover this brawler popularity. But then a player was challenging us, like saying, but that's not true. Look at Carl. Like, Carl is not popular at all.
he's really like on the bottom 10 or something.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Makes me sad. I love Carl.
Yeah,
it's like your main.
He is like the main Carl.
Yeah.
So it's like we can see data, we can see the popularity through like pick rates, win rates, and everything. So Carl, unfortunately, I'm sorry, Jeff, he's not a
trying to bribe Adrian every day. Like, hey, can you take a look at Carl?
Even when Carl was OP, he wasn't popular, right? When we changed the speed of the projectile.
Not too much. I mean, it goes in waves, right? Like when he was the most OP he's been, then yes, he was like on the top echelon of like all the brawlers. But he wasn't like number one, I think, at any point of time.
But it's hard to recover from that.
Yeah.
It's not like, again, going a little bit deeper on that topic, it's not like we are trying to get brawlers which have an 80% win rate.
Yes.
That's not the goal.
Exactly.
But when we're saying leaning on the stronger side, then it's probably, you know, there shouldn't be under 50% win rate for sure.
Yeah. So it's basically a range between 50 to about 55, max 60. If it's over 60, then that's an issue.
Yeah.
That's like, if you want to go absolute numbers, that's kind of how we look at it. Yeah.
And of course, that means in some game modes they might overperform it, and in other game modes they might underperform.
Yeah.
And that's okay. We talked in the past about this as well.
Yeah.
Good. Do you want to say something?
Oh yeah, no. I think you said it in the last podcast already, but like I think the tricky part is also like we do look at the top ranking, like, you know, Mythic and above, and low rankings, and you kind of have to balance for everyone, right?
Yeah.
So that's the tricky part.
For sure.
Then talking about balancing still, Power Couple Gaming, they ask, could you tell us a bit more about how your playtesting process work for new brawlers, Hypercharge, etc.?
Sure. Thinking about how I should do a short version of this. But yeah, anyway. So let's say we do a brawler. We start with an idea. Anyone can have an idea. But let's say we have an idea for brawler. Let's say we want to make an assassin, okay? So we basically sketch out the brawler kit on paper, like it should do this, okay? And then we basically start with an early prototype. So, okay, we implement it into the game. Maybe it looks like another brawler. Maybe it looks like Edgar, but it has different abilities, right? Like before all the art comes in, before all the visuals and stuff. Just so we can feel how do the abilities feel. And then we start playtesting it internally with quite a few people. Also externally. We also use a fair bit of external testing. And then eventually, once we get a little bit more polished, it's like, okay, we need to iterate on this. Maybe this attack should be a little bit more like this. Eventually, we have a kind of cohesive brawler, and then we can send it to, for example, creators and pro players and so forth, that then kind of do the last evaluation when we still have time to make changes before it's released to actual players. So it goes through many pairs of eyes. Like Frank said, it's not me sitting in a cave doodling away. It goes through
He's
many...
also doing that, but...
Yeah, just sitting in the cave.
But yeah, it goes through many people. A lot of people have a say in what goes in, what should be changed, what they like, what they don't like. And then we try to come to a conclusion of, okay, this is a fun, strong enough, not too strong kind of end goal. And that goes the same for brawlers, hyperchargers, gadgets, star powers, basically. Yeah.
And one thing we will try now, we will have an extra playtest with content creators. We won't name them, so like
they don't catch any
content creators instead. But then it's gonna be a separate playtest, so like we can at least have like a more concrete.
Wait, that sounds like a great idea. I'm just kidding.
It's gonna happen.
No, but
No, like naming them.
the naming part.
Yeah.
So we can just deflect.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, so like of course, like a lot of eyes happen there, but no test is gonna be as good as more than a million player playing the same brawler over and over like millions interactions and everything, right?
Yeah.
So
I think it's like there's literally hundreds of matches being played with our partners. Sometimes they get it right, sometimes they don't. And also after the content creators had a weekend or so with the brawlers, you would be surprised how often they are completely wrong when they try to estimate the power of a brawler in real circumstances. So we've seen the whole range. So it's really like nothing is like the real deal out there of having brawlers being played by millions of people every day. I mean, like you've probably seen some of the stats I've posted recently, but it's not an exaggeration that there's, in some minutes this weekend, there were hundreds of thousand matches within 60 seconds. And it's like, so that the data we're getting is just much, much more reliable.
Yeah. I guess fundamentally, at the end of the day, I think what's important for us is that we want to make it right. I guess that's what it boils down to. Like, if something is too strong, we will make it right. We might not do it tomorrow, depending on what we need to do. Like, when's the next maintenance? When does it make sense? How urgent is this? But at the end of the day, we are looking to have a balanced game, not a game with many OP brawlers in different flavors. Let's put it that way.
And then how Larry was released is not how we wanted, right? We want him to be strong, and then he was OP.
For sure.
And then Kit, I think he was mostly strong because of the bugs.
Yeah. And that can happen as well.
Yeah.
But again, those are fixed. And then,
Then I can't read his name. Inamak Lazin. Okay. Star Park CCTV was loved by the community and followed with interest. To put it bluntly, we waited for the new codes as if we were waiting for the new episode of an exciting series. Will this continue? Not maybe in the same format. And to be very transparent, I don't think we have anything planned. Like we have desires, we have ambitions.
We have plans, hopes, and dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah, ideas brewing.
Yeah. but we also take learnings from those marketing activities as well, right? So like
Yes.
we probably will do something different this time, even though this was quite exciting. And then I loved seeing like random people on Reddit discovering it for the first time,
Yeah.
like 30 days after it was on. Like, hey guys, have you seen this?
Yeah.
Like,
I love it.
really cool. Symantec. Can we just get an update with quality of life?
Sorry, maybe just one comment on that. I remember somebody, I forget, but it was like maybe somebody's daughter. They were telling us the story that like she opened it and found the camera thing and had the screen transition and she was like running around freaking out. I feel like like those are like the moments like we're trying to create, right? Like that's that magic moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Absolutely.
Symantec, can we get an update with just quality of life changes? I think it's about time in the past because of the amount of bugs we currently have in the game with so many brawlers. The UI might also need some changes, just improving many small things like PowerPoint skip.
Well, sneak peek fixed. It was a bug, by the way.
It was
like we accidentally introduced it.
Like, why would we want to make that unskippable?
No, we want to do
Just
it.
want to stay on that PowerPoint screen.
Like, our DAU is growing too fast. We need something, guys.
Slow them down.
Yeah.
I think it's like it's one of these. It's a big topic in the team actually, how we balance quality of life versus the bigger features. And we've made a decision a while ago that we want to focus on like every update. We focus on one bigger thing. That might not always be a bigger thing for you guys. Sometimes it might be a bigger thing on the back end side of things. And at the same time, the rest of the time we will spend on smaller things. And some of these smaller things are pretty cool, like win streaks.
Win streaks, yeah.
That's maybe the coolest example of recent times. And we're planning to do more small things like that as well. Maybe it's also a good moment to quickly, again, I mentioned already, we are growing the team. We're also growing the team because we have a longer and longer growing list of quality of life changes we would like to do. So if you're a programmer out there, C++, we need you.
Sudden recruit.
We're hiring.
Any opportunity.
We're totally
I
hiring.
like it.
Yeah, love it.
Shameless.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I will just receive.
Those industry people, they're watching us, you know?
That's true.
yeah. I mean, I think like everybody on the team has like high quality bar, right? Like we
Yeah,
have high
yeah.
quality bars,
For sure.
and it's like super painful. Just we have backlogs on backlogs of things that we want to improve. Like there's no running out of those. It's just like we kind of, like Frank said, like we have to prioritize the new, the fun, the exciting.
Yes.
Like, that's most important.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, and if we can try to get to the quality of life stuff, we try to get it, when can. But yeah, we it's super painful watching those sit there from update to update.
Yeah.
But yeah. Next question from Dev. How are all the exclusive skins recolor performing in the game now? We are just recolor like Lola skin or change recolors like Hood Shelly skin more successful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have data, so
The
I know you
data's
have-
in my head.
Yeah.
It's a great question. I think the easiest answer is like, if the original skin was popular, the recolor is popular.
Yeah.
And that's true for the more heavy reworks like Hoodoo Jelly, for example. But it's also true for Ferocious Fang, which is a Furious Fang rework. And that was just a recolor. So I think if anything, the Lola skin, by the way, was not super popular, the recolor. But the original was also not super popular. So yeah, I guess what I'd like to say is that we will probably keep doing both the heavier reworks and regular recolors. But you should expect us to do more of the just recolors, especially for popular skins from the past, which are not long available.
Yeah.
I think that just makes it accessible for many more people.
Because also there is the workload part, right? Of course, like maybe
Sure.
Hood Shelly perform better because it's almost like a completely new skin. It's just inspired by the same team. So like it also takes a lot more effort to rebuild a skin from the scratch or like a redo a lot of things than just recoloring the skin. It's like, for example, Fang, we know it's already performing well. Like we can just swap the colors and then it will perform well again. As for, I guess, Hoot Hoot Charlie was actually, it was more an experiment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an experiment.
The other one also.
And there might be more like that in the future, but we are basically, we promised the community to not bring skins back, which we honor.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this allows people who did not get that original skin to get it. So we're not expecting people who have the original skin to say, "Hey, this is so amazing! I want to buy this."
Yeah.
It's really not the case. It's about enabling people who didn't have the chance to buy the original one without breaking our promise. So that was a compromise. And I guess we can, again, you don't have to agree with our philosophy there. It's just what we think is the right course of action.
Yeah.
From Ready Set, one of our casters for esports.
Yeah. Nice guy.
Nice guy. Monetization. Could you explain how revenue from progression stacks up against revenue from cosmetics? That's one question. And explain how freebies affect the FTU free-to-play economy. With data, please. I forgot the data for the one, but you can add later. So like we can talk and we can show on the screen.
I can only talk for the distribution probably changed with the new Brawl Pass. Before the Brawl Pass rework, the distribution was about 80-20 in favor of progression.
Okay. Progression then it means
brawlers and power levels and all of that stuff, coins. Everything regarded to make your brawlers stronger and the brawlers themselves. Or credits. That's all progression. And cosmetics, everything else. And progression, the cosmetic part is varying a lot depending on how popular the skins are, of course. And do we have a 299 gem skin or not and stuff like that. So yeah, it's heavily leaning towards progression. And this is like, in a perfect world, it would be different. I think we all agree in the team that we would love to have more weight on the cosmetic side, and we keep gonna experiment with different formats for that in the future. But on the other side, it's just like the way Brawl was created as a game doesn't lean itself that easily into cosmetic items because there's only so much space to express yourself with a skin in Brawl.
Yeah.
We're trying to, improve that constantly, but it's still, yeah.
Yeah. I think it has moved like more towards cosmetics in recent times.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what we want to do. Yeah.
And then the second part of do you want to still talk about the...
Nope.
No? The second part is how freebies affect the free-to-play economy.
With data, please, Jeff.
I don't have the data.
I don't even know.
Yeah, we can put it up later.
I think do you think there is something we can show? Because
we can show like the coin graph.
Okay.
I think that's a good proxy.
Okay.
Like because when we do freebies and stuff, that's what we kind of keep an eye on, right? I think I think the biggest event we did was Chroma No More, where we gave away a ton of, because you can kind of stack the double XP, you can stack the token doublers at the time, and you get the coin share. So you're getting like, I don't know, I think you could have gotten like 10,000 coins in the event or more, right?
Or more.
It was a lot. I forget the math, but so yeah, we take a look at that. But at the same time, maybe I know there's conversations on more economy stuff later, but we do keep that in mind, right? Like yes, things like Club League got nerfed and we took a lot of that away, but we, give all that back in Brawl Pass and a lot more with like community events and other freebies we do, right? So I guess to answer the question, it does. But ultimately, like we're trying to give players the right amount of things so you feel like the game is rewarding and ultimately you want to continue to play more.
It's a super fine balance.
Yeah.
It's like between, so Jeff touched on it, it's about giving players the feeling of progression even if you're free to play. And on the other side, this is a business, so not removing the desire for people to support the game with cash, right? So if you're overdoing one side over the other, then we don't have a base to sustain the game. So whenever there's again terminology from free to play, specifically games, is called conversion rate. So it's like the more generous you are within the game, the lower your conversion rate. Because if nobody feels like they have to spend anything to progress faster in the game, well, you will have less people supporting you. That's what it is. Especially in free-to-play games, it's pretty important that we create a desire to spend, because we are not getting any upfront money for the service we are providing. So it's really a fine balance. But yeah, again, we want free-to-play players having fun in the game. But there's just limits. It needs to be a good balance, and we're balancing that in the background by looking at things like retention and how fast people progress and what we think is the ideal speed of progression as measured by how long people are sticking around.
And I think like the ideal scenario for a game to profit, or like for us, what we want would be that every single player pays a very little bit, right? Because then it doesn't demand a lot from one singular player. So that's why like every time like we make free-to-play economy more, what is it, the word? Generous.
Yeah.
We are hurting, or we could hurt a future conversion, right? We could hurt a future payer to buy something. And then we actually have data, to show
what
the conversion. Because like it's also growing, and then you can see like this means that like of course like we're monetizing more because there is more players, but it's not also heavily on whales, which is like what people keep asking about, right?
Yeah.
Are you like
we don't call our players mammals.
Yeah.
and that's kind of what we focused on, right? Like we focus on converting players, but we're not focused on trying to extract as much money as we can off of a single player. Like that's not the goal.
Yeah, I do think I saw a few comments making it like heavy payer heavy.
Yeah.
But it's quite the opposite right now.
Yeah.
Since we introduced the new Brawl Pass, the base of payers is much wider than it was before. So more people spend something, not the heavy spenders are spending significantly more. If anything, they might actually spend less.
Yeah, because actually the new pass, it offers more.
Yes.
Yeah, it offers more for less, right? If you buy just the basic.
Better value.
Yeah, you get way better value now. Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff.
No, I mean like I mean I think it's like I think the results are like just kind of really much better for us long term, right?
I also would like to touch on one thing that's maybe slightly connected and sometimes a misconception. When people look, for example, at the early access brawlers, and they're like, why would I spend $15 on Larry and Lawrie? Right? Okay, there was some extra value there. It was 5x offer, I think.
Yeah.
But people are still like, why would I spend that if I can get it at the end of the Brawl Pass season pretty much for free when the Brawl Pass resolves and things get auto-claimed? Or I can get it at least if I got the basic premium pass in the previous update cycle. And that's completely okay. We're happy if that's how you think.
Yeah.
It's like the for us it's about offering a range of offers suited to your needs. And for some of you that's, hey, I don't have any disposable income I can spend on my favorite game. That's fine. Then maybe ads are coming your way. In some regions, that's already the case. We're experimenting with ads, and you will get some extra stuff there. In some people have like, $5-6 every month they can spend on their favorite game, and you should get something valuable for that. And so with our new structure, I think we're tailoring better to individual needs and people, like while sustaining the game. So in our heads, early access is like a good way to allow people who have more disposable income to get something extra without bloating the game with new systems.
Yeah.
Or, like, oh, power level 12 looks really sweet over there. But do we have other means and other levers to to make things happen. And the early access is basically harming no one, but it's helping us to support the game in better ways than we could before. And again, if you are spending $6.99 or $9.99 on the Brawl Pass, and that's everything you spend, fantastic. I hope you're enjoying your purchase, and I hope you feel it's giving you the value for that it is. But if you are like an adult in your 30s and you have more disposable income than time, then why wouldn't we offer you to get early access, to even get the tiers of the Brawl Pass, for all I know, to unlock all the things. I think that's completely cool because we all have different needs and different pockets.
As you grow old, you get more money, but you have less time.
Tell me something.
Or less of both.
Yeah.
That's only because of you. No, I'm not.
Yeah, maybe philosophically, I think monetization is like, I think the philosophical check is like, hey, is this purchase making the game even more fun for you, right? Yes. Like, we're not in the business of like trying to psychologically trick you into buying something and then you regret it later, right? Like, we want our players to stick with us for years, so it's always about like, hey, we want to sell something that's going to make the game even more fun.
Yeah. I remember reading one comment related to that, because I think on Kit was like 29, 28.
Kit?
Yeah.
I think it was more expensive. I think it was $39.99.
34 something. So I don't know.
Yeah, 34 euros.
Wow.
I think it was $29. And then someone was saying like, I can buy a AAA game for that. And then someone commented like, I'd spend nothing in this game and I play for like 2,000 hours, like Brawl Stars.
Yeah.
I just like play Spider-Man. Great game, by the way. I'm not calling it out. Spider-Man is a great game. But I spent like $69, I think is the release price. I beat it in 20 hours. Never touch it again. Yeah. Like there is like it's not this black and white price comparison. Like it's how much fun we have with this product.
Yeah.
Yeah. And great game, Spider-Man, by the way. No, I don't want to.
Love Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2 was amazing.
Yeah.
And it's not like we want to like lock most of the fun behind some paywall, right? Yeah. Like if you're a free-to-play player, you get like 2 dozen brawlers really quickly unlocked. You can probably get a bunch of level 11s in a couple of days, couple of weeks, right? And you're pretty much competitive in our league.
It was really awesome. Like I started a new free-to-play account a week after the new Brawl Pass season started. And when Larry and Lawrie were released after the early access, I had enough credits to get them like the day later. I think that felt really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I put him actually to Power 9 the same day as a free-to-play.
Oh,
nice.
He's he's already powerful at Power 1 at one release. Actually, I unlocked him, and then I forgot to upgrade him. Then I realized during the match, but I still won.
But the star power and the gadget.
Low-key flex.
Yeah. But
did some work.
Yeah. Anyway, so Gabe asked, how do you guys see PowerPoints inside the game? Players from the early game have too much gold. No. Players from the early game have too much gold and almost no... Wait.
Yes.
Yeah.
Continue.
Right.
Continue.
Players from the early game have too much gold and almost no PowerPoints. But in the late game, there's an excess amount of PowerPoints and no gold. Do you guys plan some type of change for this currency in the game? Or it's okay? It's all yours, Jeff.
Oh, I thought you were going to show a graph.
I want to show a graph.
Yeah.
Well, but the graph won't help you.
Yeah, I think when we kind of looked at everything, we did want to make upgrading many brawlers to Power 11 take time, right? That we want that to be true for reasons we talked about earlier, and we didn't want power points to be the reason for that, so we were really generous on power points. That's why the early game thing, maybe that's just a randomization thing from star drops, but in the late game. Yeah, we didn't want power points to be an issue. Everybody should just have an abundant amount of power points. But coins, on the other hand, like there's also more sinks for coins, right? You got to buy all kinds of different. You can buy 2-star powers if you like, if you need the optionality, right? So yeah, I mean that is how the game is balanced right now. It's maybe it's a little bit off. We have to take a look at it and think about it. But it's not like far off from the intention, right? Like it's not like we want players to just have an abundant amount of PowerPoints. Like you should just have that.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be like a point of friction. But yeah, for coins, like yeah, it does take time to earn, and especially if you want optionality, different star powers, different gadgets, right? Like yeah, it's gonna take time investment.
Yeah, I think like then I think this graph show it keeps growing, right? So I think maybe in the future it could be a problem. But also like I want to mention that we removed the cap because it was a mechanic that we don't want people to abuse, or like you shouldn't try to use the system to get more coins because of this cap, right? This is like a bad design. So that's why we removed the cap.
Yeah, that's one reason.
Yeah.
But also like, you know, with any kind of currency design, like we want a currency to be there and you should naturally want to spend it. Like we were kind of like forcing you like, no, you can't get any more. Go spend it first, right?
Yeah.
Like that feels bad. So it's like, hey, just not have that. Like you should just have natural reasons to want to spend it. And like I think, yeah, it's growing right now, obviously. But like the current level is like, you know, around 1,300, 1,400.
Yeah.
Like 10 to 11 is like 1,400. So that's actually like pretty much around where we want it to be.
Yeah, maybe you can explain what the Q50 means. And
yeah, it's like 50th percentile, like somewhere near median, right? So that's like the median player, not the average player.
yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, that's around.
Can you explain the
spot.
difference between median and average?
Yeah, like well, mathematically, average is when you take everybody and you divide it, right? Median is like you look at the whole set and you look at the people in the middle. So yeah, I think that's around where we want it to be. But obviously, if it keeps growing, then we'll take a look at things and rebalance it.
I think it's safe to say that there is something to be done for end game players who have PowerPoints for years, like myself. It's like, again, it's like we hear that, of course, being said on socials, and we hear it being said like from pro players, content creators, because for them it's true. But for the majority of our players, it's not true. So it's a problem for some few people. And I would like to make the argument that whatever currency we have, whatever structures we have in place, there will always be an end. There's like, you will always hit a wall somewhere because there's nothing else to buy in the game, nothing else to upgrade. And that is, I think we talked in the past about that when we talked about fame a little. It's like, if you have a maxed account, like, yes, there's fame. And we will see. Like, there was one of the discussions in the team if we should, you know, in the past with the Chroma credits, we allowed them to be transferred to fame, for example. It is very much an end game problem to have too much PowerPoints. And we cannot release as many brawlers as we wanted. But eventually there will be maybe something else for PowerPoints, who knows?
Yeah. I think the idea is always like, you know, we know PowerPoints is there. We have ideas for future features. Like maybe that's something we lean into and use, right? Like so yeah, it's on our minds.
Yeah.
Brewing ideas. Yeah.
And I think in a previous podcast that you were, someone suggested to use like, oh, why don't you use the just PowerPoints for brawler progression and then coins is everything else? But then like you actually answer in the podcast, but people don't quote that part. But then you said like to restructure the whole system to make it happen. It's like would be a lot of time consumed from us. That wouldn't make any difference in the end. Just change the system, like using this time for that and preventing us from creating something more fun. It's like, because it's not an easy change, right? Like let's say we change from the economy now, like it has to kind of like rebalance the whole economy if you like remove the coin out of the dollar progression. So it will have to.
Yeah, it's also like from a balancing standpoint, right? It's always better to have multiple levers instead of one.
Yeah.
The moment there's just one currency, you only have this one lever, so you can give more or less of this one currency. But having two currencies is doubling our opportunities with balancing for the economy. So it's like, it's the same with everything in game design. You want to have as many possibilities to balance a single thing.
Yeah.
Next question, Moonlight PS. any plans on adding more pin slots to the game, with more pins being added to the game into the game? It's a feature many players in the community have been asking for.
Yes. No, let's give more context. Like it's something we have. I mentioned this quality of life backlog, and this is one of the things especially Gonzalo, shout out to Gonzalo, is creating. He and his army of good artists. No, there's more people. There's more people than him working on this.
Yeah.
But he has an army of people working on all those cool assets, which are the pins and the sprays and the profile pictures. And he's probably for a year already in like, hey, can we somehow allow people to use more of the pins?
Yeah.
And we agree. So there's no disagreement here. We're all in agreement. We will make it happen. We just don't have a date.
Yeah, not in the next update. Right?
No, absolutely not.
Well, that's a date.
Calm down,
then.
Sorry to shut it. Like we will try to make it happen. We just don't know when.
Toast. My question would be, how do you guys plan on addressing trophy inflation?
What trophy inflation?
Well, for the top players, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things, I guess, in this question contributing to trophy inflation. It is, of course, every brawler we release, max trophies goes higher, right? Like by 500, 750, 1,000, whatever. And then the second part, of course, is win streaks, of course, inflating trophies a little bit as well, based on how the mechanic works. Not to say that win streaks is bad, by the way. I think it's a net positive for the game, even though there is trophy inflation coming along with it. But I think eventually, for us, trophies should not maybe be the most important vector of your account progress. Currently, of course, when you open the game, when you check your friends, your first question is, how many trophies do you have?
Yeah.
And eventually, I think we in the team would definitely like to change that question. Long story short, I don't know if this is a segue to a sneak peek or what, but...
Well, we don't have much. Like, we know that V is like the other game designer we had here in the podcast. He's what is it? He's passionate about this topic, right? At least he tried to change like organically. And then we had a post on social media asking like, what you like or what you dislike about the trophy system. It's like he read like a lot of those things, and then he's working on ideas, or like he wants to do some changes. But we don't have anything like mapped or really concrete. It's just
To be very realistic, it's very unlikely that this year anything about the trophy system will change.
Yeah.
I think what Adrian was alluding to is Power League.
That is indeed
what about Power League?
Is it the sneak peek time?
No, that's what I was kind of segueing into. But
okay, then the segue will be in the sneak peek time.
Oh wow!
Okay. That's a long segue.
Yeah.
So organized.
That's fine.
TTL gamers.
Yeah. Oh, well, but maybe on trophies real quick. I think there's like two major types of players that play our game, right? Like the people who just feel good about progressing and gaining and collecting and leveling up, and then there's the really competitive players.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're a competitive player, like your total trophies don't mean that much, to be honest.
Except for the ladder warriors.
For the ladder
also
warriors, sure. But there's like lots of win trading, right? There's a lot of cheese tactics you can do. Like if you're talking about skill expression, like what's the level of your skills, like it's like Power League, right? That's the better measure.
Yeah.
And I think in the long term, like there should be two metrics. Like one is like your total trophies, like what's your seniority, like what's your tenure in Brawl, right? Yeah. And then your Power League rank is like what is your skill? How good are you in Brawl, right?
Then, unrelated, TTL gamers, how did you like the release of the new Brawl Pass system? Was it better or worse than expected? And how was the community feedback? So there's 3 questions here. Yeah. So how did the release went?
Smoothly, no?
Beyond
it was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, like you saw the DAU graph earlier.
Yeah. Just show the conversion.
That's true. Does it match the? It was January, so it's around here, right?
You can see that huge jump there from
Which one?
So it's like, I think it totally. I mean, like, yes, it exceeded all our expectations. That's a short answer. So we're really, really happy with how it went. This is maybe also like, do you want to talk about completion rates?
Yeah. So that's ugly.
So
you guys will make it better. Thank you.
so it's actually like one of the things we wanted to achieve with this as well is that we like, it's very hard to imagine if you're playing the game every day. If you're a hardcore player, you're like, oh my god, you know, like there's some sort of progression nerf or something here. But for the real world, the more average players, not everyone finished their Brawl Pass, especially not free to play. So the graphs you see here is from the Circus season and the Star Toon season. And so in the Circus season, free to play players was just under 11% of free to play players finished the Brawl Pass. And 84% of people who got the premium pass. That's not bad, 84%.
Yeah.
The new pass now was tuned much better. And now 22% of free-to-play players, that's more than 2x the amount of people who start the free-to-play season, finish the season tier 50. And 95% of paying players, which is absolutely amazing. So 95% of the people who buy the pass will finish it, which is, yeah. I mean, those results for us mean a ton, and it also showcases that free-to-play players have more fun with this.
Yeah.
And also, like, to add, like, if you compare the number of players for Circus and Star Toon, actually, Circus had a lot less players, so the percentage is, like, lower. So, like, 22% of, like, a bigger pool is a lot more players. So, like, it's not exactly 2x. I think it's even more number of players completing the pass.
Yeah. And like Circus was 2 months, right?
Yeah.
And Star Toons is 1 month.
Yeah.
So it's like the time difference as well. It's crazy.
Yeah, so we're really happy with how the tuning worked out. We're happy with how the pass worked out. We're happy with the community responses as well. I think just like, you know, one again, one of the things we measure the highest is like, if someone spends their hard-earned cash on Brawl Stars, then that is the highest form of engagement. And you guys have shown us that you value the new pass very clearly.
All right. Wondering when you're gonna use this.
Yeah. Sorry, I keep forgetting. I should be like just operating that, like
just like literally
podcast.
like playing piano.
Yeah. But yeah.
And I guess on the community responses there, right, to that question, I mean, I think I saw now 4 or 5 posts of someone doing the math on Reddit.
Incorrectly.
Most of them get it right. I mean, Kairos did it for you, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but it's pretty clear, like, it is a buff. It is a buff.
Yeah. It's funny because those posts are always like, I'm a nuclear physicist. I did the math. It's great.
Yeah. But shout out to community.
Yes, shout out to community.
Yo.
yo.
No, but I think I want to point out, like, it's a Danny moment. Like, of course, like, I talked to Jeff, I talked to Frank, I talked to everyone to make these Brawl Pass comms. But I think, like you are not seeing a lot of complaints about the Brawl Pass change, right? And then we had, like, before you could get the Brawl Pass by free gems. And then you can't anymore. So, like, only this change would create, like, a huge backlash to any game that I know.
Mm-hmm.
But we managed to not have any bigger deal, right? So, like, I think it's like the fact that you don't see this comment popping out is because we made a good job on communicating it earlier.
Yeah, totally. I mean, before, like, we talked, it wasn't gonna be like that much of a buff.
Yeah.
Like, and you really like fought for that.
Yeah.
So, like, you know,
Thank you.
we should have just another Danny behind you giving you an award.
The Obama meme, yeah.
Oh no.
But I think it's also good because, like, the team was open to listen, right? So, like, my concern was like, hey, I have this thing to announce. And I said to Jeff and to Frank, like, there is no words I can say to the players that they will perceive it positively if if free-to-play is getting nerfed.
Yeah.
And then, like, can the numbers do the communication? And then you just manage that, like, if you take into account 1 month of progression with the old system and with the new system is better. It's like,
Yeah.
Yep.
that's the numbers, and then
Totally.
it's easier to communicate.
Easy proposition
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, actually, for the record too, like I see the math posts sometimes.
Yeah.
Like people don't really factor in the star drops. The star drops are actually worth.
They're
a lot.
bonus. They're just
Yeah.
bonus.
We just stated like even without them, like
Yeah.
it's like better.
Yeah.
So like with them, it's actually a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, most of the math doesn't consider when we run special events,
Yeah.
Totally.
which we do quite regularly.
Mhm.
And it was actually communicated in the Chroma No More pass, because like we had we are not like blind. When we removed the club league the club shop, and we replaced with Megapig, we know club league was giving more coins, right? But in the communication we posted, we actually say, and then community events will make up for the lack of rewards from the club league to Megapig transition. So basically, we're pretty much actually. We have a graph for that. Look at
We
that.
have
Oh, what?
Ref,
Yeah.
another graph.
show it,
Oh
Danny.
my god.
Coin gain. It's like the baseline is always increasing, meaning that you are always getting more coins than before. And of course, there's a huge spike on the mastery update, because then it's like, that was the biggest buff we added for the economy, which hasn't been removed. Mastery is still there, and I'm sure you have a lot of brawlers to collect your resources from. But you can see a blink update, we didn't add anything to progression, so there's a decline. Then star drops, there is another peak. I think this is like people spending on the brawlers or whatever. Or actually, no, it's because Brawl Pass has 2 months
Yeah.
delay. So that's why there's always a decline. Then Hypercharge, of course, here we added more sinks to coins, but still the baseline is higher. And then if you look at December with the Brawly Days and community events, it's actually more than the Mastery update. So coins, we are giving more coins overall.
Yeah, and this just shows like coins, right? And we actually give out a lot more than just
True.
coins. Like we give out way more star powers at
Yeah.
random,
Yeah,
gadgets,
true.
hypercharges.
Hypercharges.
Like we give out like, I think we were having a discussion. It was like we give out like more than 3 hypercharges every update, like something like
With
crazy-
our number
crazy
of
like that.
legendaries are putting out.
Yeah. Probably more now, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
so,
Yeah.
we give out a ton. Like this is just coins, right? Like
Yeah.
we give out a ton more.
Yeah, cool. Then actually I'm going through social media. Does it matter? I don't know. But now it's Reddit session. Before it was Twitter.
Sure.
Silent Blueberry. Do you have plans of improving the bonus rewards at the end of the Brawl Pass? Because right now 1,600 battle XP seems too much for one random star drop. If you're not going to change it, why so? Also, are you going to improve star drops in general at some point?
I think the perception, like maybe leaning into what Frank said earlier, like what we want is we want players to finish the Brawl Pass. Like we design it in a way where the Brawl Pass is like super enjoyable and you get through it and you get rewarded really well. Like the tail reward is actually just for like, super hyper engaged players, right? It's not your main form of reward. So, yeah, it is kind of 1,600 to be there kind of for something, if you're going to play a lot, hey, there's something there for you, but it is not meant to be like your main form of reward.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something we're going to, because if we lean into it, then we're saying like, no, everyone, we don't want you to just finish the battle pass.
Yeah.
We want you to grind the heck out of,
Yeah.
this tail reward, which is not our intention, right? So we want you to finish the battle pass, have a great time doing that, and then come back next month for the new battle pass, right? So I think that's our main goal. So the tail reward is kind of just I don't know how to say it, maybe just like don't feel too bad for playing so
incentive
much
to continue
reward.
playing, right?
Sure.
Don't
Yeah.
stop
So you get
completely.
something for
Yeah.
the XP,
Yeah.
basically.
And I think we just looked at the coin graph.
Yeah.
So like what you see is startups. What we see is X currency. So we feel we're actually in a pretty good spot with the currencies right now. We touched on PowerPoints, maybe for some people too much. But in general, like there's no feeling of we're giving out too little at the moment. And you saw that like even now with the improved numbers, only 22% of free-to-play players are reaching the tail end.
Yeah.
At all. 22% of free-to-play players. and even from the paid players, 95% reach the tail end. So it's really like an interesting balance to strike. So I guess we're seeing quite a lot of ideas and proposals on Reddit, on Twitter about like, we could do this feature or that feature, and all of them lead to getting more rewards, which is natural to ask for, but us giving out more rewards in any places would just mean that we have to balance the whole thing in the background. So if we give out more star drops, because we have more, like the cost would be lower on the tail end, then that would just lead to a situation where the star drops will probably have slightly less content.
Yeah.
Which then also would feel bad.
Yeah.
So because again, like we feel we're in a pretty good spot now with the balancing of currencies. Of course, it's a job that never really ends.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah.
Like balancing in general.
Yes.
But I also think because, like, let's say we agree with the community, like, we are giving too little, and then we just increase the battle pass or whatever we put more resources there. It wouldn't have any meaningful impact for us. However, when we run a community event where we inject more rewards to make this event more fun, we have more players engaged. So it's basically like using the same amount of rewards we have, but in more smarter places, right? So like we have a better benefit of how we use that. And like I said in another podcast, but the resources we give away during these events, they are not bonuses. They come from a budget of resources we want to give out throughout the year, right? It's like imagine like we have a mega peak. Imagine we have like a massive pool of resources, and this is like is limited. Like we can't give out more than what we have there, and then we have to distribute across the throughout the year. It's like what will be like the best way to do it in a way that sometimes we can have like these surprising moments where you feel a lot more rewarded than rather than if it was like injected in star drops or in the pass. Anyway, he had a following question, which is like improvement to star drops. I don't think there is anything in line at the moment. Like there is some desires, I think.
Yeah, we have a bunch of items.
Yeah.
They're like quality of life to kind of, slightly bigger changes. But, again, like they don't really make the cut in terms of priority right now against all the other cool stuff that we
because they're already working as well.
Yeah.
Like,
They're in an okay place. I think.
And again, also when we talk about improvements, again, improvements would not mean more rewards.
True. Yeah.
So it's like it's connected to the other question he or she asked. Is like if you think of improvements as I'm getting more, no. We when we talk about improvements, we think like what else could we do with star drops, not how much more could we put into star drops.
Yeah. Slightly related to XP, more Yulika. XP doublers are basically worthless now. Any plans to remove them or make them actually useful?
Yeah, Jeff.
You grind 1.6k tokens to open a star drop and get 100 back.
I mean, they're basically worthless. No, they're not worthless. I think the benefit of the XP doublers, which is a much more intuitive name, is they kind of help you feel better about just playing the game on a normal basis, right? Just getting twice as many XP.
Yeah.
Like that feels pretty good. Like it's a nice, it's not the most exciting reward, but it's a nice filler reward for your daily engagement. And we kind of answered the 1.6 XP doublers question already, right? About the tail drop. It's not the focus for your rewards.
Yeah, there's also, I think there's also like the one of the key features about randomized rewards is that some of those randomized rewards will be lower in value and others will be higher in value. Because the implication of saying, I should get at least 1600 XP back, that would also mean you're never getting more worth than 1600 XP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In total values. So it's like, forget legendary brawlers or hypercharge.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the randomness.
Yeah. Yeah, we tend to remember kind of the lowest points and think about that first, right? So like when you get the 200 token doublers after earning 1,600, you'll probably remember that, right?
Yeah.
But when you get like a bunch of hyperchargers or star powers, you're probably, that's not gonna come up in your mind when you need to complain about something.
Yeah, and I think that's a good segue to how things are perceived as a human being, because like you do remember things that affect you emotionally in a strong way, right? It's like if you get like 50 coins, you won't remember that drop. You remember the one that, I don't know, you open a legendary and you got like 500 credits that went to fame.
Yeah.
That will stick to your mind. It's like you remember the negative experience, and goes the same for balance, right? As I said, like Maisie was strong. Nobody cared about her when she was released. But when Kit was released and it was like devastating everyone in Showdown, that sticks in your mind.
For sure.
And that's why it sings that all brawlers that release are broken, but it's because your memory only connects the strong moments. Like they forget Dog, they forget Maisie, they forget
Willow.
Blue, Carl. Yeah.
They do forget about Carl.
Never forget.
Never forget.
But that's why the complaints are always so vocal, right? Because it's really tied on the emotion.
For sure.
But it's also super subjective.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It's like you're saying, getting upset about 500 credits into your fame. Like I'm genuinely, because my account is always maxed. I'm always maxing my account. So for me, growing my fame is like, it's literally one of the progression systems I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Every day. So I'm disappointed when I get 1,000 coins. And I'm like, Jeff, where's my 500 credits? So I'd love to get these big fat credit drops.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
It's yeah, it's a painful point. Hey, I want to say one more thing about the XP doublers.
Yeah.
We are reviewing the pricing.
Yay. It won't be a massive change though. But
No, not a massive
Makes
change. but I mean, we surely agree that the old pricing, 40 gems for 1,000 XP doubler, was off by a little bit.
Yeah, that was definitely oversight for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll correct that like we do.
Gonna be fixed.
Kiru Clivi. Too many consonants. Although the game has 2 gadgets and star power for some characters like Otis, Buzz, and Grom, this choice is very obvious for some options are clearly stronger than others. Why does it take so long to balance this issue, especially for ones that everyone knows are uses like RT gadget? Shout out to RT.
I mean, this is a great question. The long story short is prioritization, but let me go a little bit deeper than that. So I'm also, by the way, interested how Buzz was mentioned here, because the other star power, for example, for Buzz is really good.
Yeah, we
in
just had a
certain
conversation
situations.
about
We
it, yeah.
talked about it today. That's why it's on top of mind. Anyway, past the point. Some star powers and gadgets are obviously more situational and therefore will feel worse. But it's also easy to kind of get stuck in that mindset that, okay, this is just a better star power. This is just a better gadget. But like experimentation, especially on some maps, you can see from the data as well that, hey, this less popular thing has a much higher win rate, for example. So I would be careful by calling something useless just by looking at it. That being said, RT's inline is definitely useless. and that's my bad. I think we talked about this in another podcast even.
Yeah.
But regardless, all of these things that are basically lagging behind or that didn't nail the mark with the first design is something we want to address. The problem is when we have time to address it. Because let's say we would want to address all of them, well then maybe we can't make a new brawler for a few seasons. And that's not sustainable. So we need to think, okay, we have to do the must-haves, so brawlers, hypercharges, for example. And if we have time, then we have a prioritization list of, okay, this is the first gadget we want to rework. This is the first brawler we want to rework. This is, whatever it is. So we do agree, of course, there are plenty of these items that we would like to get to. But it's just about when can we get to them reasonably. Yeah.
Do you think RT's gadget is a number problem? What if like immediately kills?
I think even if it would one-shot everyone in between, it might still be bad. Crazily enough. It's that poorly designed. Yeah,
Sure,
I can say that because I designed it.
But
yeah.
because the concept is so good, right? That like you connect.
Yeah, it
the
would be.
yeah.
But you could do it like the other way, or like you
Yeah,
switch.
yeah.
Like, there's so many different
Because I
cool things. you
remember the
could do.
creation. I was like, yeah, that's actually cool.
Yeah,
Why-
I thought it was really clever, but it wasn't.
Anyway,
What's it?
It wasn't.
I think there's also like the new, and more recently, I think we started looking at gadgets and star powers in a bit different way than we did traditionally. Traditionally, it was a lot about novelty, and now it's more focused around play styles.
Yeah.
So more recently, like we're focusing on having typically like one gadget, one star power, one play style, one gadget and star power, different play style. So I think that it's emphasized in brawlers like Duck. You see it very strongly. You know, one is very much like I want to hurt you, and the other one is I want to heal you.
wow.
And so the different play styles, I think it's just a cool angle for gadgets and star powers, because that allows us to ultimately fill two roles with one brawler, or two slightly different play styles.
Yeah.
So I think we're getting better at this in general.
For sure. And I think if we look at the, let's say, star power and gadget distribution kind of graphs that we have, maybe we can pull one up even, but like, how many people use one over the other, we don't have nearly as many outliers as we did, let's say, a year ago or a year before that. Like, it's been improving constantly, and we're going to keep improving it.
König der Socken. Is that German? This.
King of the Socks.
That's what it sounded like.
yeah, it's King of the Socks.
That's a great name.
Amazing. What are your upcoming plans, if any, to improve the Mega Peak experience? Playing 20 matches, it's 15, by the way. Waiting 3 days once a month for randomized rewards was not a big improvement, in my opinion.
Dun dun dun. Show graph.
Yay!
Show a graph. I like it.
Should have a
Pull up the
button for
receipts.
graph,
Wow, Jeff. Those are some pretty nice numbers.
So let's explain. Do you wanna explain?
No, I think Jeff can. I can. Well, like, I think for us, one of the main reasons why we reworked Club League into currently Mega Pick is how many people participated in the events. You know, when you look at our whole player base, and as you see there on the left, before we introduced the Mega Pack, those were the participation rates on specific days around the event. And as you can tell, it's less than 10% of our players which participated at any given time.
Yeah, and it was the same. It was the same.
If you look longer, yeah.
Yeah.
It's even trending down towards the end. So there were a ton of rewards, but it wasn't distributed properly because for the majority of players it was just not attractive enough, and that we wanted to fix. And we fixed it with a Mega Pick, which is a much lighter commitment for people. As you said, it's now just one weekend per month. We reduced the amount of tickets required, and the engagement looks much, much better, as you can tell from the graphs on the right. There was a little bit of fatigue when we introduced it initially and ran it for 4 weeks. But now the participation rates are way up, are looking super healthy. People obviously like to try out the new modifiers. It's like, we're just reaching much more people. And in parallel, all those extra resources, they're not gone. They're just redistributed, as Danny pointed out, to other community events, or part of that went into the Brawl Pass, which again is much more predictable for people to unlock and participate in. So we feel really good with it. I know it's controversial for the hardcore people because they're in the 10% down there.
Yeah, and of course, like, it's hard to visualize that, like, once you had all the resources here in this shop, right? And now they are like in the Mega Pig and then across community events. Like, you need really to be a mathematician to do the calculation and see if you are actually getting more. But as we show to the coin receival, what's the word?
Outflows or
outflow, inflow. Anyway, how many coins you received on a day? Like, you can see that it's actually growing. The baseline is always income. It was right there. coin income, like it's increasing across throughout the year. Hopefully not too much, because then you're gonna be worried, right?
Oh yeah,
Nerf.
I feel like a lot of players are kind of really focused on like, oh, how much am I getting? How long is it going to take me to complete X, right? And you're thinking like, wait, Mega Pig's rewards were so nerfed. How could this be? They must be lying, right? And I think the realization is, actually Adrian reminded me of this today or yesterday when we were talking about like, future stuff. Like when we were looking at Club League, like we start from the gameplay first, right? We were like, hey, what's going to be more fun? And these modifiers seems like a great way to do it. Not only because they're exciting and they switch up the gameplay, but each Mega Pig in the future, we can introduce more mods, switch things out, surprise people. And I think that's kind of the result of the gameplay being more fun, right? Like having a limit on and having a leaderboard in your club and kind of having some friendly competition, right? Like having those sweatier matches, like that's like Brawl Stars, and rewards are redistributed to other places, even if you might get a bunch of XP doublers from a pig. It happens, but you can also get a bunch of legendary brawlers, right?
Yes.
So
and we actually, our goal for the Mega Pig, our success criteria, whenever we develop a new feature, we have some performance indicators in mind. And our goal for the Mega Pig was to reach 20% of players. And we pretty much doubled that. We went to 40%. So it's like 4 times more people engaging.
And also, like, I think I forgot to mention, but we actually mentioned on the Star Drop podcast, that the goal for Star Drops or like Mega Pig or anything that we are adding is like to democratize the rewards. Yeah. Because before we have like the rich becoming too rich and then the poor like being too poor. Like so then they were not getting enough. Like so the casual players were not getting enough rewards. And now with Mega Pig, Star Drops, they are actually getting a lot more than before. And if you are really active, you are still getting more than the casuals. So like it's just like not as much as before. But yeah, so like we are really happy with the situation we are in now, because we believe that the retention and everything, our growth is actually like this is part of the growth as well, right? Because like casuals feel more rewarded, therefore they will play more and then they will invite their friends and blah blah blah. And then the super hardcore, they will stick there with us.
And they're still getting more.
Yeah,
they're still getting more, right? If you're a hardcore player, you will probably get 100% of the possible rewards every Mega Pig. And so and
maximize community events, like if you play more. And
something this graph doesn't really show is, but whenever we do run a Mega Pig, so that weekend, the whole weekend, activity of players goes up.
That's true.
Yeah.
So it's not only that the percentage is high of the people who are there. There's also more people who log in the game in the first place.
True.
So having this event like once a month for most people is much more friendly, and to play those 15 matches over a weekend is much more friendly for most people's schedules.
Yeah.
So then having like basically every week, every day to play to get those rewards, which again is not, that's not how most people play Brawl Stars.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like we do have a list of improvements we want to do.
Yeah.
Like we talk about it a lot. We read all the feedback. There's definitely things we want to improve, but again, just a priority question on, it's weighed against everything else we have to do. And I think one of the most valid things, is the duration, right? Like a month is really long. But I think the long-term intention is always, hey, we want to add something different, something new on other weeks, right? And eventually, it'll feel a lot different in the future.
Yeah, we'd like to have more things for clubs to do as well.
Yeah,
for sure.
Juicy Zach. Why do we get credits out of Star Drops when we have all brawlers? And is there a plan to expand fame? I guess improve or change fame.
So when you're at the end, first again, it's an outlier to have all the brawlers unlocked.
Yeah.
It's a pretty rare occurrence. There needs to be we talked about fame in the past.
Yes.
Like why we have that system. So I won't go too deep in there. Look at the previous time to explain. So the fame system for us, it's important because there will always have to be like an end funnel of sorts. Else people will just creep up currency like it happens for PowerPoints for some people. So there needs to be like a sink, some place you can put that extra currency. And well, the second part of the question, I think we also talked about already publicly, is that we're going to change or improve fame with a coming update.
It's going to be really cool, I think.
Sneak peek moment, since like there's a great segue for
More sneak peek.
Well, that one was already announced.
Okay.
So it doesn't count.
Yeah, but maybe you can expand a bit. So it's confirmed. It's like, the name of the feature change? Big plot twist. It's not frame anymore.
Oh yeah.
Because in the communication we called frame.
It's not called frames.
And it's not called what you're thinking about. It's called.
We discussed the
card.
names a lot.
No, battle card background, isn't it?
Just battle cards.
Battle cards.
Yeah, we still don't know.
We discussed it for reference for the community. We discussed this a lot.
Yeah.
This stupid name.
Naming is hard.
Was probably a week of development time.
Yeah. But then,
Hopefully
like,
not
when you
quite.
go into a battle, your battle card will change based on our fame, and it's really beautiful. We had like when Gonzalo was showing to us, like we are like, wow, we had a wow moment.
We did have a big
in
wow
the meeting.
moment.
Yeah, so it's really cool.
So basically, we will allow you to show off your fame rank
Yeah.
a little bit more than in the past.
Like, of course, it's still cosmetic. Like, you're not getting progression out of that, because if you have all the brawlers, you're good in progression. But then maybe
I saw a suggestion. Sorry, I saw a suggestion which was like, it should become cheaper to unlock more brawlers. But you already maxed, and we should increase drop chances for in star drops and stuff like this.
Like, I would understand like get 1.1 coins or something like that, like a bonus, but like brawlers is exactly the thing you don't need. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's really cool cosmetics, and then you can show off those things. And let's see like if people will start putting those cosmetics into fame on their battle card now. And the other sneak peek is Power League rework. Do you want to talk about it, or do you want to?
All right. Yeah.
Power League is dead.
You want to talk about it?
No, I said my piece.
All right.
Power League is dead.
Yeah. So Power League's dead. It's no more Power League.
I have a déjà vu.
That's it.
Improve game improvement.
You're right. Playing with
Trophy inflation.
modes.
Yeah. Just trophy. Yeah.
Embrace trophy
I
inflation.
guess like some things we can say like it's 1 month long. It's like it will follow the new Brawl Pass, because we felt that's a good pace to progress. It doesn't get boring.
V's working on the rewards, so if you don't like it,
Throw him under the bus while he's not here.
no, it's gonna be awesome. Like I think they're really exciting.
Yeah.
It's gonna be way more than current Power League.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be getting it every month, so it's gonna feel a lot better. I think maybe the gameplay piece, Adrian can talk about actually.
Yeah, I mean we're gonna try something pretty wild with new ranked system. We're gonna try to have modifiers in ranked, not the ones you're used to, by the way. I think importantly for us is that they stay competitive and not RNG based. So they should be predictable. So for example, you won't have one team's map covered in snow and the other one's not. Stuff like that. So when we make these modifiers, we want the games to play out differently. We want you to influence what brawlers you want to pick depending on the mode, the map, composition, and the modifier. So it's basically another layer of skill expression. Like, can you adapt to also a modifier? And that should also feel much fresher, because no single map will play the same, because a modifier will make it play completely differently.
Yeah.
Because that's an issue I think we identified from the old Power League system, is once you kind of went through the map rotation, you kind of got a little bit bored of it.
Yeah.
There was no surprises really. You know what the good picks are at any given time. That's it. But with modifiers, that should change up a lot. And of course, some modifiers might work out great, some might not. We have the opportunity to scale it on the fly. So if there's something that just simply won't work, we're not gonna stick with it, and we're gonna keep changing them as we go.
Yeah, and I think like we can go deeper. Like Brawl Talk is coming to. No, I don't know when it's gonna be released, but it's
Soon.
coming at
Soon.
soon. And then I'll go deep into the feature. But also, like, we are addressing a lot of complaints about the current Power League, which is like players picking low-level brawlers or report system. Yay, we are actually working on the report system. And then a bit more casual for the casuals. It's like the first the first ranks. It's not gonna be like the banning phase, having banning phase and like a peak phase for each player.
Yeah.
Because like it was like you actually talked about that on another episode. There was like such a big gap from a trophy game to a Power League mode, right? So there is not a smooth transition.
Yeah.
So now we made the first ranks a bit easier or like smoother, and then we kept the hardcore or like the competitive mode towards diamond
Diamond.
and up.
Diamond and up.
Yeah. So like hopefully we'll see a lot more players playing this, but it looks really promising.
Yeah. And maybe just on kind of back to mods for a bit, I think we care a lot about kind of the competitive integrity, if you will, of the game, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, we all love the esports stuff and we're all competitive players. And I think we talked a lot about, I think there's an intuitive reaction to mods, like, oh man, you're really
Everyone in the team had the same reaction.
like everybody was like, wait, this is a bad idea, right?
Yeah.
And I think and the reason why we're doing it is there's two reasons. Well, one is like Adrian touched on, like we're going to be redesigning and introducing new mods, and they're not going to be like Mega Pig, right? They're going to be designed for competitive. And the other thing is like from a design perspective, like when you have something random happening during the game, like that's out of your control. Like you can't do much about it, and that feels bad for competitive.
Yeah.
But for mods, it's input randomness, right?
Yeah.
Like you know about the randomness. And then you get to make decisions in terms of which brawler you pick, who you ban, and how you decide to play in the match. And the match stays consistent, so there's no output randomness, right? So because of that, like we're more confident in trying to do this.
Yeah.
And then I have another sneak peek here. Should I raise this thing?
Raise it.
Yeah.
I'll raise it.
Can you though? Are you worthy?
Can you add some effects, team?
Oh.
Whatever that means.
We should have left it on the table actually the whole time.
I can put it there.
Now we can leave
I think
leave
it
it.
would be- Is it too bad, team?
Yeah, it probably cuts into the
Probably too
screen.
bad.
Yeah.
Take this
They-
away
they-
from you.
They know better. But actually, you probably know because this ping is already in the game,
Mm-hmm.
so everything makes sense now. But that's all.
Does it make sense?
That's all.
It's pretty mysterious stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. Sneak peeks over.
Oh wow. Like that.
So blunt.
Yes.
More on the Brawl Talk soon.
Yes.
And
Smash through that.
Yeah.
Let's keep going with the hammer puns, guys.
Oh, no.
Tarpendale. Many players have noticed that some new details in the life of brawlers from the description are slightly different from those that were once presented to us. Simply put, was their lore retcon?
Oh no.
Oh no. Is CCTV a separate part of the lore that does not belong to the investor video or the 2020 to 21 lore? Like the storyline is still relevant. The question is the same as the first one. It's the same question. Like, did the lore change? And
No.
the question is no.
No, high level no.
Yeah.
High level no. But I'd like to say, especially with the brawler descriptions, I think when the brawler descriptions are way older in most cases than our ambitions for the lore for the game. The lore, what you see, the current continuation of things it's simply what has been planned for a while, but the descriptions of the brawlers have been outdated. And we finally had time to fix it. It's one of these quality of life changes being somewhere in a backlog.
True.
But yeah, no.
Yeah, and the same thing, like the investor video, it is still part of the lore
Yes.
of the game, right?
Yes,
and then the
absolutely.
CCTV is connected to that. And like when we create a brawler, like what you see in the game is just like a very tiny fraction of what is like the rationale or the origin or everything that has been going with the brawler. But when now Fernande, like her team, is creating the brawlers, she drops like a whole file of like the ambitions and personality and everything about the brawler. But then like we don't want to like just put out a list of, hey, this character is this, and then we list the personality traits of the character. We prefer to explore in like animations, or like every time we do a community post on social, is the brawler doing something related to the personality. So like we are building then up with you guys, and also you are making fun art, and like I really like how in Brawl Talk, like I do one line to define the brawler personality, and they make so much content already about this one line, right?
Yeah.
So, but
That's really cool.
yeah. Battle Katslio. I don't know. Oh, this is the angry dude. Like I picked this question specifically just to show like how the emotion is driving you to the wrong path, not only like on how you are expressing yourself or how you're expressing it, but also like how far from reality it is actually. Like we are here, like I wish I could invite this player here, like sit here down with us, like who hurt you? Like why are you so mad? Like this is a game, right? It's just a game, and then we are here to explain how games are made and our decisions and everything. And then we are open to be transparent with every decision we take. So I'm going like through he has a lot of questions here. I'm going through all of them. So like he starts with, why did you suddenly take the game in such an unfair, unbalanced, and whale-centric direction in the past year? It's like, we already showed that it's not whale-centric because conversion is going higher, and that's our goal on how we want to monetize the game better. Unfair is very subjective. I don't know what exactly its meaning. It's just like a word that has a lot of power and doesn't mean much, right? Sure. Unbalanced, like we have a couple of brawlers that are broken. Like those are outliers. Like we have another 70 or how do we have it now?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah,
1 million. No.
Yeah, a lot of brawlers. Yeah. And then we do have like comments, and I think maybe Adrian can say better than me. Sometimes Adrian is praised as like, oh my God, the balance is the best I ever seen. But then 10 days after, it's like, oh my God, fire this guy.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fine. I think that's natural because at the end of the day, like recency bias plays a huge part in how we perceive the game. Like, it doesn't matter if the game was perfect, quote unquote, a week ago. Like, what you're feeling now is what matters, right? Like, and if we look at, we suddenly made unbalanced brawlers. Like, we've had many cases in the past where some brawlers have been stronger than they should have been. And we've had times where they were weaker than they should have been. And sometimes we hit the nail on the head the first try. Yeah. And that's the really hard part. But we're always going to try to get there. And at the end of the day, as I said before, what we're always going to do is fix it. So if something comes out unbalanced or bad, we're going to fix it. No matter which way it goes. Yeah.
And then he continues, the game was honestly perfect before the star drops. And then if you see the DAU graph I show...
Yeah, we can show it again, actually, yeah.
We can show it again. like I would rather like 1,000 times have the community a bit angry with us, but having like 5 times
but
more...
having a community.
Right.
That would be nice.
But having like 5 times more players than before. Because like when we were like at the end of the Bling update, that was really worrying for us. Like we were really like
yeah, it was super worrying. The game was going in a really bad direction. It's
and now what I feel is the problem is there are a lot of unaddressed problems in the community. Like I think what we need to do, and I need to do more, is communicate about everything more frequently, because I think we've been maybe ignoring them for too long, at least like on the communication side. And that's because we were working a lot on making the game better, right? And me involved. And now I think like maybe we can take a break and then maybe be more communicative.
No breaks.
No break.
But there's also there's one more thing in that post I'd like to. It's not in the bunch of questions.
Yeah.
I'd like to address, which is this. this misconception. I see that on especially on Reddit for some reason quite a bit. It's like, the suits made you do it.
That's that it
Right.
ends.
So-
War suits.
So
Yeah,
it's like the TLDR is it's not how Supercell as a company functions and works. One of the special things about this company is that the games are made and steered from within the game teams. So game teams is teams like my team here, which is like, so you have a manager on top, that's me. Hi, I'm the manager. I'm the suit, maybe. I'm the closest.
You're the suit.
I am
Yeah.
the closest to
I
a
thought you were the
suit.
janitor. What? What's going on?
That's a career.
plot twist.
Janitor to CEO. No. So we have teams which are structured around making the game, and all the decisions for that game are made within the team. 100% of the decisions for every Supercell games are made within the team. So we as a team discuss, we're looking at these graphs and numbers an awful lot and trying to steer the game in the best possible direction. Again, like, we have millions of players. It's impossible to make everyone happy. And we understand that. It's part of the business.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we need to look at what actually works and what doesn't work. It's like when the irony is, of course, like that after we introduce startups, people starting, the game is dying or it's dead or whatever. And it's like, it's the opposite. It's the polar opposite. So whenever I see a post like that, for me, it's like, oof, dude, I can't. It's really hard for me to take it serious, even though there might be some valuable feedback somewhere there. But I'd love our players out there to, if you have feedback, tell us exactly what you think and why you think like it, and then we can have a look. But else it's really, really difficult to give you, like responses, because, I mean, you literally see on those graphs what we are seeing.
Yeah.
And the game, is going in the right direction right now.
And that was like players, right? It's not like even monetization or anything. It's like number of players that are coming to the game, playing the game every day.
The monetization graphs goes along with the DAU graph, right? So if you have more players, you make more money as a business. That's simple as it is.
Yeah, don't be Edgar and use your outcry gadget.
Oh my God, Jeff.
Yeah. That we have, maybe this one? I can continue. Ever since then, every update has been devaluing the free-to-play experience one way to another. Like the new pass actually improves because it actually gives the ability to use gems on something else. Well, you also saw like the coin income graph we showed. And every character release feels like they are deliberately designed to be overpowered money printers that you throw in the garbage a week or two afterwards. Like, this is so disconnected from reality, right?
Yeah.
Like, even if you think like the brawls are deliberately designed to be overpowered, the rest of the message is not true. Larry is still strong.
Still.
Yeah.
Oh, and I think for me, my favorite example is when we reworked Penny.
Yeah.
She was on the strong side also.
Yeah.
And then we quickly nerf her because we had a maintenance coming, and they're like, let's put the nerf there. And then people are like, oh my God, you killed Penny and blah, blah. And then she remained in the meta for, I don't know, another year.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy to feel emotional, especially
Yeah.
if it's, your favorite character, for example, that's getting a hit or whatnot. It's really easy to feel really hard done by. So,
Then he mentioned, did the suits think you were making a lot less money, blah, 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 than other Supercell titles, and demand these changes. And then I would really like if you dropped the and then just answer honestly.
that was it.
Yeah.
We just did.
That was it.
Yeah. And maybe to I think Bado is super passionate about Brawl, which is
for
awesome,
sure.
right? Like, he just really cares about the game, wants it to be awesome. And I think, we do too. And we're literally trying to do that, right? We are trying to grow the game in terms of the player base. Like, we're not here trying to like squeeze players for every single penny. That's not what we're here to do. Like, we want Brawl to be the biggest game, right? That's what we're trying to do.
And it's literally our livelihood.
Yeah. And like here, like in this podcast, who other game does that, right? Like maybe you can name a couple, but we are here to explain why we're doing the decisions, showing numbers, showing data, because we understand that like if you're only seeing what the game puts out, like you have a misconception of what's happening, right? So we are here to address the other end, which is like the communication part. So basically, if you have more questions, we are free to answer, but we won't answer if you are in this same emotional stance than this comment here.
And maybe to reiterate, like we do, try to make money for the game. It is a business, right?
Yeah.
And but part of that is like, we use those profits to use in marketing, to do cool community stuff, to do esports, and try to grow the game, right? And it's part of that, and that's why we do need to monetize the game.
Yep,
true. All right. That's being a long episode. Let's go through. I think we have 10 questions. Let's try to speed run.
Quick fire.
It's important. Yeah.
All right.
I have a few questions. Photon wins. I have a few questions around how things are managed in the Brawl Stars team. How do you decide which brawlers to give hypercharge to which update?
Yeah, so there's a few things, but I guess the biggest thing is we have a merry mix of different brawlers.
Yeah, it was changing to every update also.
It does change, but like a baseline is, okay, we shouldn't give 6 assassins hypercharges.
Yeah,
it should be like a sniper, a tank, an assassin, something like that. Different rarities as well, if possible, like,
Yeah. Popular, unpopular.
Yeah, popular, unpopular, so forth.
It's also a great tool to bring back brawlers into the meta.
Yeah. Lu, as a great example, for example. Yeah.
How much do you test a brawler before? We touched on that. Yeah. Have you thought about trying multiple stat spread?
We talked about it.
To get into it, really. Are there some brawlers that the team intentionally try to keep on the stronger side in terms of balancing? So like Piper or Spy consistently being at the meta?
No. Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no... Basically, I'm not sitting there going, I really like Piper, so Piper should be at that.
Piper is
Danny does.
I know that Danny does. This Danny propaganda.
It's me pushing like...
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there is some brawlers, though, I will say, that if they are in a good spot, the meta's probably decently healthy. Like Piper, for example, is a very binary character as a sniper, and if she's doing well, it means that probably the sniper meta in general is doing quite well, because it's like, it just goes hand in hand very far.
And outside of the brawlers, there's also the maps.
Yeah.
The map pool dictates a lot what kind of brawlers are viable and not.
Yeah.
So,
And Spike is very versatile.
Exactly.
Versatile.
Super versatile.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I think it's fine to have those versatile characters. Like, if Spike would be bad across the board, I would be quite concerned, actually.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well,
And then Mythic gears have been released very slowly since they were first introduced in October 2022. Is there any reason why they've been releasing so slowly?
Prioritization is the short answer. They have had less priority than bigger items.
And because they don't have a lot of impact, right?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, they can have, but at the end of the day, like, if we have the choice between a Mythic gear
or a Hypercharge.
Or a Hypercharge, it's a pretty easy decision for us currently.
but our plans haven't changed, so we would like to get all brawlers over time, get Mythic gears.
Absolutely.
Falcon Star Reddit user. I don't know if that's the part of the name or if it was me copy-pasting incorrectly. Anyway, I strongly feel the systems from season 15 to 18 that involved having control over progression, credits being PowerPoint conversion, have been damaged due to how star drops are currently implemented. Do you plan to continue discarding determinism and go back to these features for sake of randomization?
Yeah, maybe just a quick one. I think we want to do a mix. Like we want to have systems that give you some control on where you can pick and choose brawlers. You can totally do that for which brawlers you want to level up, right?
Yeah.
But we also want to have, random rewards because, hey, they're exciting, right? It's exciting to maybe get a legendary, or sometimes you get a hypercharge for Dynamite who you don't usually use, and all of a sudden, you might try Dynamite and you might like Dynamite, and you can see how the cycle goes on. So we want to kind of have a mix of both.
Yeah.
You saw on the DAU graph, when we went full on deterministic, our DAU went down.
Yeah.
So there was a part of our player base which kept to the game and liked it, but the majority of people, also the majority of new players coming in the game, they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So having this balanced approach gives us the best out of both worlds. I also, there's no plan in removing the star road today, right? There's no plan in reverting back to brawler-specific PowerPoints versus wildcard PowerPoints. So like we feel pretty good with the current level. However, that still means we might in the future, and as we did already, introduce star drops and other randomized reward mechanics and other features, because it's very clear to us that a huge chunk of our player base just likes it.
Yeah, but I think like it's a good compromise, like having a bit of both. Like I'm really happy that Star Drop is here, and it solves a lot of those problems. Like players saying like, I never got a legendary, and I played this game for 2 years. Right now, it's such a the system is a lot more fair.
Yeah.
Woodchuck. This one it's 2 months ago. You can see here. It's because like I was actually answering him on Reddit. I was like, I'm typing so much, I would rather just answer on the podcast. And then I actually answered in that. So like I promised that I would get his comment. Hi Danny, when people ask for infinite credit banking, your team said it wouldn't be possible without more severe changes to the economy, like battle pass for money. He's quoting Frank. We are getting the battle pass, the brawl pass for money, alongside the removal of credit banking. Sincerely, a concerned community member.
Yeah, I think it's a fair question.
Yeah.
But you're already giving the answer yourself in the question. So I think context is super important here. We didn't say, hey, if Brawl Pass becomes a paid only pass, we will change this. This said, we need to rework things to make this work if it's possible. And the Brawl Pass was just one example of this. But it would require much more for us to really rework it to allow for credit banking. There would have to be some other systems in place we haven't even thought about. So it's not a make one change and then, here's credit banking. And so I feel it was taken a little bit out of context.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think
there was context in the point.
But I think like one thing that maybe we can explain to the community, and I think like one thing that Frank has a lot of things in his head, but then he replies to the player the answer that the context is in his head, right? But like it's very hard. Like it's not like a Frank problem. It's like I think a humanity problem. You just see how people communicate on social media.
Yeah.
They just answer whatever. Like they feel entitled to answer anything with the least knowledge of whatever of the topic they have. It's like when I try to answer, I always put like a huge wall of text, because I try to like, what if like you don't know the same context I do? So I always try to contextualize the thing. And I think like none of the quotes Frank said on social media are incorrect. All of them are accurate, but it could be like maybe due to the time he said those things, could be like more right or wrong, or like where is he coming from and things like that. So I think
apples to oranges.
But
we got it.
But even
set the line.
All right.
Even in the team on Slack, you are pretty blunt and
I'm
one-liner.
a very direct, blunt guy, and is like. But of course, it's easy to take what I say out of context.
Yeah.
As a result of that, for me, it's like it's a fine line to dance on, right? When do I prefer to be myself on social media when I respond? Yes. So I'm typically very to the point, straightforward, assuming that people know some context, which makes it incredibly easy for people to take what I say
out of context
and put it out of context.
Yeah.
It's like okay.
But like you are listening and seeing Frank right now. This is how it really is. But the fact he puts a punctuation at the end of his sentence makes it sound a lot harsher than he actually is.
Wow. I'm
Learning
grammar. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Things I didn't have on my bingo cards. I have to apologize for use punctuation.
But also like one thing, like, we don't have credit bank because like we believe that the design is a bit flawed. If like you can actually use this mechanism to get more resources. But when we changed that, we actually made that the brawler is already released before the season. So like these credits get into the brawler, right? So we could literally just have the brawler released together with the season, and then your credits are wasted.
Yes.
But we do take like community into account on these changes. And even though like maybe you felt you got something nerfed, it's still a better system than what it could be, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I think the feedback is pretty clear. Like, I think from a design perspective, if you're at the end of the game and you've unlocked all brawlers, which is like less than 1% of our player base, like, you know, we want to turn that into something else, like fame. It's a flex of your tenure, right? Like, we think that's a good system to transition to, not for you to watch a number go up forever, which is way less engaging for some people, but for most people, not as much, right? We do understand fame is like, you know, kind of, you know, bland right now. So we are doing things about it. It's going to get better over time, but we think that's like just the better design for the end of the road.
See?
I answered 2 months after. Hope you like the...
Woodchuck.
Yeah. Tappy raspberries. I only thought of this question now, so blah, blah, blah. But you said some events are taken into account when you guys calculate progression. Events aren't extra rewards. What events are extra then?
It's a conundrum.
Are events only the ones in the event slots? Okay. Were the Christmas and Lunar daily freebies extra? Was the billion takedown challenge extra? So I think it's just a misconception of the
Touched
word.
on it already earlier, I think.
Yeah, but basically nothing is extra. Everything we give out to you, it's maybe like if there's something bonus, is the giveaways we run, right? Like then like we pick like a very restricted number of players, and then we give a lot of rewards to those players. Yeah. But everything else is taken into account, like the whole economy and like using this universal budget.
Everything is calculated.
Yeah, everything.
Totally.
Yeah, maybe like when we have a long maintenance and like we have to give a compensation reward or something, like that's not really a part of things, but
Everything's considered.
Manufacture big. I think it's just like word generate, random name generator. Why has it taken so long to implement Hypercharge's Mythic gears? Are there any plans to speed up the process as the meta is currently dominated by Hypercharge brawlers? I guess it's a bit closer to the Mythic question, but I guess has the Hypercharge element there. Yeah.
Hey, Larry and Lawrie didn't have a Hypercharge.
That's not a good answer, right?
That's a great answer. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
What has taken so long? I mean, you can only do so many at a time, right? Like, again, the same people who are working, let's say, on Hypercharges are the same working, let's say, on new brawlers and stuff that we have to ship. So we're trying to basically catch up and make as many as we can, but it's not like we can drop everything and make like 30 in an update. Like, that's just... it's not sustainable.
And you know what makes us possible for us to grow the game and the team? Money. So actually, like if you are doing well, we can like actually expand the team and deliver more content for the players.
Yes, that's also true.
Yeah. What a cycle.
Yeah, please buy Brawl Pass.
So you can get more Hypercharges.
Get more engineers so you can get more Hypercharges.
Then YouTube questions. Actually, I look at the Instagram questions and they were very... It's more like demands rather than questions. So like I didn't have any Instagram questions. Sorry, Instagram people. Okay. Wolf Dan, any plan change coming to the Mega Pig event? We already.
No, but the second part was like would be nice to have a little bit of time to select the build after every choose their brawlers. I agree.
Yeah, I think we all agree on this one.
It's on the to-do list.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
It is now.
Oh no. No, but it's annoying when you have to tell the. I mean, if you're sitting together, then you can tell like, don't pick your brawler.
No, but
yet.
like it's not intuitive. You should want to lock in when you're ready.
Yes,
like,
yes.
And then you should still.
We agree. We're in agreement.
I agree.
Yeah.
Next.
Yitter, are there any plans on doing a story mode feature for more lore and fresh gameplay? Like I wasn't going to pick this question, but it appears so many times.
Yeah. It's understandable.
Yeah.
As we mentioned in August last year, it's not on our roadmap for the time being. Or did we mention in August that it would become a part of the roadmap?
What?
PvE?
No, I think we scrapped. We said that we scrapped. Yeah.
So it's like the we are discussing PvE regularly. It's not like it's not on our minds at all. But at the end of the day, it always comes down to we're a PvP game first. Most people log into browsers to have PvP, so that's our focus. It doesn't mean it will never happen, but it's, like we would probably talk about it the next time we talk about our roadmap or something,
Yeah.
if it's happening.
Yeah.
But it's not a small thing. It's a pretty big undertaking for the team, and it's currently not in the cards.
Yeah. So basically, like a story mode, like AAA games spend years developing this thing, and then like a player finishes in 20 hours, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like it's something that it has like an investment, like how much work it takes from us and how much it does for the player. So like it's very tricky. Maybe there's a smarter way to do a story mode, but if you like it's the classic PvE mode that will advance in different stages and telling a story, it's a lot of work.
Yep.
28. Oh, maybe if you have a story mode idea, just post on socials and we'll be reading.
Absolutely.
The Titan. We will make any collab with other company or game/movies.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh wow, that's a good
Don't-
question.
I'm not doing
Don't.
anything.
Don't say.
I'm not doing anything, Daddy.
Yeah.
No comment.
Okay.
The answer is no.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Curly Bricks. Does the current high player count change how you develop the game?
Really good.
Does it impact development in a way that allows you to do more things you want to do? Uh-huh.
It's a good
Yes.
question.
Yes, it's a great question. The first part is interesting by itself, but both parts are really interesting questions, actually.
Yep.
So the second part is easier to answer. If a game is doing well, and it is doing well right now, that means as a team we have more resources. And that literally means everything. That means we can grow the team bigger and being confident that this is okay. I'm not sure if you're following the games industry at the moment, but this year has been absolute disastrous so far. It's like thousands of people being laid off this year already. And this mostly happens when companies grow so much or so fast that demand goes away, that they then have to save costs and decrease team sizes. So at Supercell, we've been very deliberate about team sizes in the past. We've always been leaning towards smaller teams. And even in this new world where we're growing the teams a bit bigger, we're still relatively small in industry standards. But yes, it gives us the confidence to grow the team bigger, which means we can do more for you guys. And that means, more game modes. Actually, the guy who joined the team to develop 5v5,
Yeah.
he just joined us fairly recently, and he had a super good impact. Shout out to Jaska.
Woo.
Absolutely amazing guy. And he's developing right now the next cool thing for you guys, hopefully.
No, he is.
Hopefully.
No, he is.
And so yes, it allows us to do more for you. It allows us to do more things with esports. It allows us to run more marketing, which then again has a positive impact on the player base and so on and so forth. So it's definitely helping us.
Actually, segue to the previous question. It allows us to approach other companies and say, like, here are our numbers. Do
Yes.
you want to do a collab with us?
Yes,
Yeah, but
absolutely.
we're definitely not doing that.
But then there's also, does it change how we develop the game? Maybe we ask ourselves a bit more, what worked? Should we do more of that? Can we formalize that a bit better?
Yep.
But our plans for the first half of the year are unchanged. We still have high level, exactly the same plan. We are really confident in our plans. And
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say it changed yet how we develop the game.
Really good question, though.
Yeah, super good question.
Thank you, Curly Bricks. Guess. How much do you want the game to change in about 5 years? Any bigger plans?
Keep growing.
Yes, that's a long time.
Yeah, 5
Brawl in 5 years. Well, I mean, you can look at Brawl 5 years ago. It's a very different game.
Yeah,
than now.
for sure.
Actually, kind of
Right.
about the same nowadays in terms of user numbers.
So there will be
Yeah.
vehicles, pets.
Flying cars.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, true. Future.
Yeah.
we don't know. Like we of course, like I think we plan 1 year.
Yeah, we have a
Detail.
rolling 12-month roadmap now. But of course, we have longer-term ambitions.
Yes.
And those ambitions are mostly around scale, how many people we
Yeah.
have playing the game. And of course, we want to be bigger than our competitors. It's very...
Yeah, we're just going to take all of Power World's features.
Shout out to the competitors. They make us better.
That is true.
Yeah.
Competition is good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Canon's board. Sometimes when you answer some questions like, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Your answer is that is just a low on your priorities. What exactly forms your priority? And what's the best way for the community to change it?
Great.
To change the priority.
Yeah. Great question again.
Yeah, it's a great question.
It depends on the thing, of course.
Yeah.
There's a gazillion different things. Our priorities are normally informed by player behaviors. So consequently, the best thing you can do is you can play something or not play it, or you can buy something or not buy it. So these are the more than anything else, those are the two things we care about. If you stop playing, then we ask ourselves, why did he stop playing? If you play less, then we ask ourselves, why do you play less? If you ignore a skin and you love another one, that also informs our decisions and our priorities.
Yeah.
So it's like, so if, for example, I give you a very clear example, the Mega Pick. We released the Mega Pick, we had hopes and dreams. We said 20% of our daily active users in the time where it's out should play it. It exceeded our expectations. Okay, that's cool. If it would have been only 10%, that would have informed our priorities very quickly.
Yeah.
Because then immediately we would have started to pivot and change on what should our club league look like. And we probably would have done something very different. So that's a good example, I guess.
Yeah. And I think like it's not that we are oblivious to whatever community is saying on socials. Like
of course.
we read that a lot, and I keep I'm the one bringing that up in every meeting and every time possible. But like you can see how dangerous can these be. Like if you look at the graph when we introduced Masteries and Bling, right? The community sentiment was like over the roof. Like everybody was super happy.
Yes.
It's like Brawl is the best dev thing in the world. And like, oh no, we are not, because look at our numbers.
Yeah.
And then to the point that like if we would have listened to the community and doubled down on what we're doing, we might have killed the game.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, but like being like we were pretty low in the last year.
We were.
So
Low for Superstar standards. It's still pretty big.
Yes.
that's true.
But still.
But yeah, for our standards, it felt low.
Yeah, and I think like we do a lot of things to the community based on community feedback. Like we look at the ideas, suggestions. We look when they report bugs, they report balance change suggestions. Supercell Make is a purely community driven. I think this podcast, like who else will gonna watch? Like it's only the highly engaged people, right? It's already 2 and 36 minutes long.
2x speed.
No, 2x. Then maybe you can't understand me so well. But yeah, it's
Okay.
like
Next.
we listen to you, Hamad. Why have the amount of challenge decreased significantly? Can't read anymore.
Significant.
A lot. I know there are the events every other month, but the changes were the challenges. It was not only me.
Yeah.
But the challenges were really fun. It's like, why did the challenge decrease?
Yeah, it's actually we tried out challenges quite a bit. We even had this catch up week where you could play all the challenges again, etc. What we see or what we saw is the more frequently we run a challenge, the less the participation.
Yeah.
So running more challenges is just not good for the participation of those challenges. So we are not removing challenges. We even want to develop challenges maybe further in the future. But it's important that it's a more balanced mix with other things. Now we have the Mega Pick. On Mega Pick weekends, you won't see challenges. Then we have other community events. We from the Chroma No More to Brawl Together to the next thing. We also have now calendars like for the Luna Brawl one, we had the calendar, So there's always something going on. And in the future, there will probably other things coming to the mix. So that challenges will be probably a bit more rare. Of course, during the Brawl Stars esports, the Brawl Stars Championship challenges. That means from March on, every month there will be a challenge for the next 5 months.
Yes, something like this. Yeah.
5 months? Am I
think
getting
so,
that
I
right?
think so, yeah.
5 months. And there will be some other challenges as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and so how you use the resources we are giving away in a
Exactly.
smarter way. We already touched on that. Eric Molina, did 5v5 meet your expectations? I personally would love to see it as a weekend event. Okay, it's so fun, and I personally think it's way better than the current weekend game modes. Well, it's kind of like nowadays. It's kind of like a weekend event. Did it meet your expectations?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool, and we're not removing it from the game, so we keep doing 5v5 occasionally on weekends.
Yeah.
Even beyond this season.
Cool. Oh, it's the last one. Timekeeper. Bit late, not gonna lie, but hopefully I can squeeze this. Blah.
Did you choose this user Timekeeper at the end of our?
Yeah.
Nice.
No. Are you all planning to ever do a brawler concept competition in the near future, where the community can make a completely new brawler? I think it will make the community bond and have fun.
That does sound really fun.
I did talk about that when they asked to Supercell make to have a brawler.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I personally feel that would be amazing. Not like we shouldn't do a lot, but I'm saying it out loud now here and suggesting maybe we should. I think it would be really cool. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it sounds really fun.
Sounds interesting. It's tricky because
Yeah.
normally we have a pretty clear idea on what we want to achieve with
Yeah.
a brawler and why we do a brawler. But I could, maybe not quite as extreme, but I could see a world where a brawler becomes like a build your own teddy bear kind of exercise, where we give the community options.
Mm.
And by voting, for example, they could pick and choose from some options we've given.
Yeah,
But
there needs to be some limitation, I think.
yeah, there needs to be some sort of limitations.
Yeah.
I mean, you see that with the skins already in Supercell Make, that it's really tricky.
Yeah.
And I could see this being a total nightmare for a brawler, to be honest.
It could, but I think like some guidelines. Maybe like we need an assassin and it has to be mythic,
Mhm.
and then has to be from the trio of Willow, something like that. Maybe like if we give those guidelines, because I think if it's like totally free, like how can we pick?
Yeah, how
right?
can you pick?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I guess you have to give to do some limitations.
Yeah, it's hard. It's like you can totally imagine like the competitive players coming up with something totally smart and like genius, but most players are not really gonna care.
This
They're
brawler just farts.
Yeah, they'll probably vote for that one, right? Like, and yeah, I think you'll have to like design the curation.
How'd you
process
balance
a little
that?
bit.
Yeah.
Just fart less or more.
Healthy
mean?
diet. Anyway, that was the last question.
Cool.
Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you players
you.
for asking those questions.
Thank you.
And actually I was surprised on how they were super polite. I was expecting like super angry questions. I got one just to get an example, but a lot of the questions were really ponderate and like they were
Very nice.
Yeah.
Good
Very
time.
nice, well put. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Frank.
Thanks, Danny.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you for playing the game.
Thank
and
you.
thank
for
you
playing
the
the game.
team here because they've been
Yes.
for cameraman is sitting
forever,
there for like same full 2 hours and a half. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.